sorry gamers. For some reason, the Stream Deck, which I did fix, it was being weird with the audio, and it just had both of the chat box that I put in, and not anything else. But now that it should be working, yep, cool. Hello, I'm being a shill for today. This is not intentional. This is just a comfy ass shirt. Apologies on that. It's just a comfy ass shirt out of everything I have. Technically, I have a diamond one that is really nice, but we're being a shill for today. It's still a little fucked up, but we'll do it. Whatever. Okay. So, friends. All that sort. Should I open this window more? Let me open this window more. Hold on. Much better. Much better. Big improvement. Big improvement. Very nice. Okay. That helps out a lot. I wasn't sure if we needed it, but honestly, thinking about it, it's nice to have. Let me make sure. Yeah, because desktop's muted, that's whatever. Let me make sure we're all good on how it looks. Let me inspect it a little closer. Yeah, seems alright. Let me do one thing. Just one. That a little bit. Okay. That should be good. Just because I don't want to like beam directly into my face and everything. But I think we are all right. I forgot to make an announcement about it on YouTube. Let me fix that right fucking now. Okay, so we're not gonna have too much of a delay this time. Some people could argue the fact that it took like 15 minutes to even get here or whatever as a delay, but that was gonna happen in general. I still had to set stuff up. So I just put it on starting soon just because we're basically on time. It's just, yeah, there was a small fuck up with the Stream Deck and everything. This one, more Arc 9 reading. Join in on the fun. Yippee! There we go. I wonder how that'll read to anybody who's like not in the stream and just seeing that. It's just like, oh, it's like this is like a fucking automated message. Like, no, no, I wrote it very silly intentionally. All right, I think we are all good. I think we're good to go. So we are just pretty much going to get right into it. There's not much else to do. We are gonna, like I mentioned in the title, actually, let me take a drink. I prepared water this time just because last time, it was a pain in the ass to have like iced tea constantly, and then I'm like, oh, then let me get my water. Nah, I'm just gonna do it this right off the bat. It's better that way, anyways. Okie dokie. So, yeah, we're gonna get into it right off the bat. Uh, we did have a delay, obviously, because of the whole Act 2 thing I mentioned. Which, good news about that. I am very close to being done with Act 2. That is, that will not act. That sounds the way more. I failed my fucking words there a little bit. What I meant was the current phase of Act 2, the first phase and everything. I am almost done. We should have been done back in like February. But due to a whole bunch of delays and busyness and all the wonders of life, that did not work out. But we will have that done very soon. Honestly, if everything works out correctly, right? Because essentially, I'm going to try and also write after this. I'm not pushing myself to write like that much. I just kind of wanted to do a lot for today. And then the coming days, I'll keep it very simple. But if all this works out well, I should be done by Friday in terms of writing. And then me and my pal gotta just, yeah, like my good friend Brandon, we just gotta check all the chapters and everything, make sure they're in tip top shape. And then after that, I work on the remaining art. Like I'm still kind of doing that at the same time, but I finish everything up, send it all out. You all get to read it. Fantastic, right? So that'll be great. That's pretty much it for that, though. I just wanted to mention by the end of this week, I am probably done writing it. So it's fun. I get to do other stuff as well. It's great. And then other than that, we have just this today. We're gonna try and knock out two. I have no idea what the next chapter is like in terms of length and all that and everything. I guess we'll see, but currently I have no clue. So we'll get to that when we get to it. Tepe might have dropped like a nuclear chapter in terms of length, and I'll find out when we start reading. But luckily, it is only like 3:40 this time. I actually wanted to start at 1, but then things got delayed a bit, and now it's 3 o'clock, which is all right. I mean, it's pushing into 4 a bit, but that's all right. I also did set something up. I think this is better. I think this is much better. I do want to see it myself on stream. Yeah, this is much better. You can read what's there now. Oh yeah, I forgot this is gonna open me as well. I totally forgot about that. Well, anyways, what I was saying, you can read what is there now. You can see all that shit. I'm still here in a really good spot, right? I have the full area here essentially, which is great. That's what we want, right? And then we have all of the chat up there. Super nice, right? I do almost want to move the camera a bit just to the side. I might try that. Um, just cause, right? Still good, but now it's a lot more centered. I just wanted to make it more centered. That's a lot better, right? I think that's way better. I like this. This is good. It is gonna be awkward because I have to like look here for the camera. For you guys, that's center, overall. I mean, maybe a little more here, right? Mm, that might be a little more center. Um, but for me, it's like I have to look a bit to the side and everything. Because if I wanted center, it'd be exactly where it was before, which is kind of nice. But I do like it around here and just being central with it. It's kind of. I guess I'm not really. Let me compare it. I think there's good. I think actually right in the middle between the two spots we had, that's good. Okay, so we are going to try and knock out two chapters, right? Like I said, we're going to get right into it pretty much. The one thing I will say, hold on. All right. Oh, I gotta turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. The one thing I will say is, uh, right after the last stream, I mentioned this on Twitter and everything. Of last stream, I mentioned it like, oh yeah, let me get like right to writing, right to. Great job, me. Uh, I mean, it was technically a correct sentence. It was just a very awkward one. Uh, I mentioned after this, like, or like, when I was streaming and everything, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna stream now, and then after this, I'm going to, I'm gonna write, right? I'm gonna go and do a chapter, to essentially say what happened. Let me put it on camera. To essentially say what happened, uh, it was this. It was yada yada yada. Here's this chapter, everything. Okay, we're gonna end off. All right, bye guys. Right, and then chat like the stream ends. I put everything away. I unplug what I need to, all that, and then I do this. Right, directly after it ends, I go. Let me open my phone. So it it did not work out great for me in terms of writing chapters and everything. That kind of hurt a little bit to do because I had to make that loud so the mic would pick it up. Uh, yeah, that was a rough one for me in terms of just a day of like, yeah, immediately passed out. Uh, why do I do that? I start talking and then I take a drink. What I was gonna say was I will note it was only for like an hour. Like I passed out, but luckily it was only an hour. So it's not like, oh no, I passed out, that's it. I passed out for an hour, got up and went, right. And I immediately, walked around, did what I had to do, and then just came back here and I'm like, okay, time to write. But with that said, we are here this time. So we have the chapter here, nice in terms of its ratio. We have us. nice in terms of our ratio. And up here is the chat box. I did properly set up a chat box sort of thing. For some reason, it hasn't been working before with previous streams and everything. Not even just the previous one. I mean, in general, previous streams, it's been a little rough with that and everything. So I decided to make some workarounds for it. And well, not workarounds, but find some workarounds for this. And this is what I came up with. We just have some nice art here. Chat box will be in front of it. I'm pretty sure, yes. And anything that's said in chat will just be right above me. It's that simple. Okay, cool. So let us finally get to this. I've been looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun one. I don't know what the next is like in terms of length. I do have this open this time so that we can deal with that, right? Like I just have it on the ready, and we will go from there. I will make sure to like the art after and everything. Got all the familiar names here. All right. Let us do it. Is there actually more this time? Sure, there's not more, right? I mean, I almost feel like there's more people. Is there more people? No, it seems like it's the same amount. Let me double check. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, there's a few less, and there might be a few different ones here. That's all right. Still, it's still the WCT, still very helpful and all that. Regardless, okay. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us just start. Right, we got time. Honestly, I will say before the next chapter, we might chill out a bit because, especially if it's long, I'm gonna wanna just so we're not constantly reading. But here we go. This should take about an hour or so. That'll be all right. One more drink. Okay, let's do this. Also, I moved it. I think I mentioned it before. I moved the stream deck so that we didn't have any problems. There was no problem to begin with, but I made sure. All right. Right now, I'm really angry, so I won't be holding back even if it's you, Al. Speaking of this, the Witch of Glaciation. I forgot I should probably move my cursor because you guys can see that as well. Uh, the Witch of Glaciation, having transformed the vicinity of the prison tower into a wintry snowscape, cast him a stern gaze. The irate emotions ablaze in those amethyst eyes spurred a dry sensation in Aldebaran's throat. Even in the Empire, many a time had he borne witness to the sight of her kicking her long legs with all her might, doing battle with a look of seriousness on her beautiful. There's a creature at my door. I would let him in, but I don't know what he's going to touch or what he's going to do. But you know what? I think we give him a strike system. We make it 2 strikes, though. I'll let him in. Creature, come forth. Oh, he made a sound. Right? Hold on. If you're gonna stay here, if you're gonna stay here, they need to see you. Say hi. Good. He tried to grab onto the desk, I noticed. Okay, as long as he stays there, that's good. Only thing is, if he goes back there, or if he goes up here, that counts as a strike for me. Because I don't enjoy when he does that. Also, if he goes to the computer, that's also a problem. If he goes to the back of the computer, ideally he doesn't do that, though he's looking at it, so that worries me a little bit. But now he's rubbing up on my legs, so that's okay. Continuing. Uh, Countenance, is that what it is? On her beautiful countenance. But that look of seriousness had always been deeply tinged with her courage and fullness, never colored with the hue of fury. Hence, this was the first time. Oh shit! So she is. Know your camera shy now when I move it. Okay. So she is pissed, right? That is like This is what I was essentially. Are you seriously camera? Oh, wait, are you in there? Oh, you're in there. Good job. Yeah, so she is pissed then. Like, that is like. Because I mentioned that on the last stream that I wasn't sure if she was. I feel like I'm ruining the experience by standing here a little bit. But that is one strike because I don't want you scratching that either. That is also a problem. Um, but yeah, she is like pissed. That's something I mentioned last stream of like I was curious on if it's a very childish anger sort of thing or like actually angry, and it seemed like an in between, like between the both of like actually pissed, but kind of the way she displays it is a very childish sort of nature, and that's too. You grabbed my cord. I did say the computer would do that, so off you go. He's all right. Okay, going back to this and everything. So it's funny. He immediately like turned to like look at the door and like try to move towards it. I do appreciate when he's in here, but the problem is if he grabs cords, if he grabs the figures, all that sort of stuff, I can't do much about that, right? He like broke one of my brother's figures, not necessarily broke, because it can be like I'm gonna say it can be fixed in terms of like you can just put the stuff back on, but he essentially took apart the figure in a proper fashion, uh, and now it's like I don't know where one of the pieces are because it's like a headpiece that you can just plop back on. I don't know where that headpiece is though. He did that presumably overnight, like yesterday, right? And maybe it was the other cat, could have been. But like that's the thing, right? Is I don't want to have that happen to my stuff, especially because it's a whole wall of it, and especially the REM one over here that's like they're kind of pricey. And then on top of that, cords are just cords. I don't need them chewing on that. I know I'm making a whole big spiel about the cat. So, regardless, so yeah, that is a very interesting way to write Emilio's emotions here. Because I'm gonna make the comparison, right? It's cheap. Um, but a certain a certain goober of mine in ADT and everything. It's just like I know it's a very cheap comparison to make. There's other characters I could technically use in a certain sense. Like I could say like Orihime from Bleach, right? I think that's a good example. Is like Orihime from Bleach. People would know that. Trying to think of who else is a very similar character. What I was going to mention was out of my goobers, uh, this one. Hold on, move it over. This one right here, right? Miss Elder Arozena herself. Uh, that one is I didn't even know that actually shows the name of that all that and everything. Uh, Actually no, because it doesn't pick up on it because of the yeah. You know what? I totally forgot. Um, yeah. So her, for example, uh, she's a character who I typically write in a very similar style to Amelia in a certain sense of a little more, I guess, aloof is kind of the word to use, right? It's a lot more, maybe not clumsy in a certain sense of like, oh, it's stupid, right? Obviously not, but it's just like, trips up here and there, whatever it may be, and very playful with the words, right? So, in a similar sense, that's kind of how Amelia is treated, and like I said, similar to characters like Orihime and Bleach and all that sort of stuff. Um, but that's the sort of thing like I kind of always get with Amelia's character, which is why she has sentences like this because that feels very aloof. But then you see stuff like this, and it makes it clear of like she's pissed, right? She is pretty damn pissed. He is banging on that door. He really wants in again. I think some people would comment to give him a second chance, and I'm like, I could just essentially how that cat is, right? Just to keep it brief, because I don't want to keep it as this the whole time. That cat loves to be very playful for like a good 10 minutes, and then once he's had 10 minutes, he will lie down, which I am cool with if he is just willing to lie down afterwards. That is all I need from him. But I could let him in again. I'll think on it, right? He'll calm down in general after a bit, but if he does really want back in like I'm gonna say like 10 minutes, I'll let him in. Okay. So going back to it, I'm gonna take a quick drink, just because I was talking a lot there about, Amelia's anger and how that's portrayed and all that sort of shit. And take a quick drink. Steel ourselves. This bottle was making some fucking noises there. I don't know if the mic picked that up. But okay. Oh, you know what I should do? I totally forgot. I forgot my phone should be the pop out because I can't do that here. And I also somehow filled that 3 times in a row. Okay. Good job, May. Good job. Make sure the volume's down so it doesn't repeat myself. That's all right. Everything's good. Cool. We put that. Oh, where should I put this? Because the sun's right there. I'm going to put it here. That's where we're going to put it. Right there. Easy. I have to look down a bit, which is a little unfortunate, but that's all right. Okay. Going right back to it. We're going to put the new sentences at the top just because. All right. The first time that he had come across a scene where Amelia's eyes were filled with anger, casting an intense gaze. Okay, it's saying this is. Okay. Casting an intense gaze upon somebody. Not to mention, to think it was a moment in which that anger was directed fully and entirely onto himself. Even the act of imagining that. Ooh, excuse me. To say that I never imagined it, guess that'd be asking for too much. Hijacking the dragon husk of the divine dragon Volcanica, and mobilizing the Witch of Envy with the objective of halting the Sword Saint Reinhard. He was the enemy of the world. Even before all that, the moment he sealed away Natsuki Subaru, even if not on the scale of the whole world, there were a great number of people who thus became enemies of Aldebaran. Amelia was at the forefront of that list. The confrontation was the inevitable price he had to pay for the decision he had made. Oh, is it trying to say Roswell? Oh, no, no, it's saying the train. Or no, no, Roy, he's there. What's this? How peculiar. It, or how peculiar? It seems like you've angered her quite a bit, uncle. That elder sister is terrifying when you anger her. Did you know? Shut up. Oh, scary, scary. Carried on Aldebaran's shoulders, the immobilized Roy sneered in ridicule. The circumstances of Roy's capture had been through combat. Had been through combat with Natsuki Subaru's group at the Pleiades Watchtower. Naturally, Amelia was also present there. It made sense for him to know her. I had to make sure I turned off my desk because you can go up and down. Even before that, Roy had in many names and memories in Perstella, and it would not have been strange for some of those among them to have known Amelia. Hence, what he currently ought to focus on was not Roy's slimy persiflage. Not fully familiar with that, much like many words we fucked up here. But rather, yo, what a coincidence to run into here, Miss. Laboring to select the words for his first vocalization, Aldebaran opened his mouth. And let me guess, he immediately stopped. But unfortunately for the effort he had spent to select those words, it was meaningless. That was because halfway through Aldebaran's utterance, which aimed to examine his opponent's approach, Mila pitched forward, ushering an explosion of snow accumulated by her feet, her silver hair fluttering as she kicked off the ground. Amidst his snow-blanketed vision, directly after he perceived the glisten of her fluttering silver hair, Hee-yaw! Sparing no measure, a gauntlet of ice was driven directly into Aldebaran's solar plexus. They like to use solar plexus a lot. I mean, like, it's like a vital area to hit, but they like to use that a lot. Uh, for a second, I thought that was gonna say that he was just dead, right? I thought it was just gonna be like she was so pissed to a point that she just went no and just blasted him, and that would have been really fucking funny. But that is not the case, though it would have been really funny. Makes sense that it wouldn't be though. All right, quick drink. We'll be actually quick this time because that was just very little. But all right, we are hydrated. Ah, let's go. Wait. Oh no, no, no. Okay, saying time rewound because okay. Uh, all right. Time rewound a bit before that blow to the solar plexus. Subaru and everyone else. That's the word from one of my people. Everyone in the tower has been taken out. The one who informed them of this was Felt, who was staying in the royal capital at the time. It was okay. So this is talking about when they were all over there. Okay, I get it. It was their first reunion since the events of the Watergate city of Priscilla, but they had no time to catch up on old times. To begin with, Amelia's reasoning for visiting the royal capital was not a pleasant one. She had to report to the royal capital that Priscilla Burial had lost her life in the Wallachian Empire. Amelia was deeply grieved to have been uh, to have to bring back news that would significantly affect the royal selection and, above all, sadden the many who knew and loved Priscilla. What Felt had told Amelia was a huge blow. Al, why would he do something like that? Those were the words Amelia could not bring herself to say. Has it been 10 minutes? No, it has not. Okay. Ooh, that was a rough one. Uh, my YouTube went like gray there for a second. That was really weird. Don't know why. Oh, mouse, right. Yeah. Uh, if Al were to do something reckless now, there was no, wait, I did, yeah, yeah, okay. If Al were to do something reckless now, there was no way it would not be related to Priscilla's death. Al's devastation at losing someone so important to him placed him into an unbearable state, which was why Amelia and the others listened to Subaru's plea and saw them off to the Pleiades watchtower. She believed that this would give Al a chance to recover, or at least a chance to move forward. But despite that, Feldthal, may I ask you for more details? Next to Amelia, who was biting her lip and clenching her fists. Oh, it's saying Amelia. Well, that was really worded for a second, and I saw it was Otto, and I'm like, hold up. Was Otto who had come to the royal capital with her and asked Felt. That is like really. I mean, I get what it's saying. It's saying Amelia and all. That would just like threw me off because the way Otto's kind of like shoved in there almost makes it seem like it's referring to him that whole last time. Um, blah blah blah. I just wanted to check something real quick. I don't know why I went blah blah blah. As if I'm like reading like a blah blah blah. Let's continue. You know, when does it get good? Uh, in contrast to Amelia, who was overwhelmed by the devastating news, Otto's expression, with his eyes fixed on Felt, was calm, and his voice was steady. But Amelia knew what it meant when Otto acted like this, that he was at his angriest. Felt sensed the quiet pressure emanating from Otto's anger, which was well known to everybody in the Amelia camp, and crossed her arms, replying, "Yeah, sure." The knight Nichan and the little spirit are being held captive by the helmet bastard. I don't know how, but it seems he doesn't intend to kill them. No intention to kill? What about the others at the tower? Flem contacted me and said it's okay. Maylee and Amelia, elder sister. I'll say it. I was just being silly earlier, but Amelia and Nechan's maid are safe, but our sensei and that Garfield guy got pretty beat up. It looks like he didn't take their life. I, I mean, I guess it's just sister. Yeah, I guess I perceived that as it's trying to word it as well, actually, huh? Yeah, I guess that's correct. I just it threw me off for a second. Wording there also was throwing me off, similar to the auto thing from earlier. It was making me think they were trying to say that like Petra was like elder to her or something, and I'm like, well, no, that wouldn't be correct, right? Uh, where were we? Looks like he didn't take their lives yet. If that's so, thank you. That ain't something to thank me for. I would have felt worse if I knew how they were and didn't tell you. No, Felt, that's your name. After telling her everything without hesitation, Felt looked at Amelia, who was still clenching her fists. Struck by the intensity of Felt's gaze, Amelia gasped, I heard him meow. I'll let him in. Okay, we're giving you another shot. We're not giving him another shot. Take a drink. As soon as I opened the door, he got picked up. So, it was not happening. All right. Uh, then Felt continued as Amelia's cheeks stiffened. We've decided on our plan. We'll use Reinhard to get back to our territory as quickly as possible. We need to consult with Rom G and figure out what we need to do next. Isn't that the Australia domain? If so, it's close to the Agra sand dunes, so we can go with you, Felt-chan. No, we should not do that, Amelia-sama. What? Amelia leaned great or eagerly. No, I was almost like greatly, eagerly forward, but Otto's calm voice stopped her. Let's go down a bit. Oh, too much, too much. Uh, there. How? I want to check one thing actually. Uh, I want to be sure mic audio is all right. I want to double check that. Let me hold on, because I realized just now. I'm like, wait, I plugged the I plugged this in, but I've also plugged the camera in. It can pick up the camera as audio. I want to make sure we're all good. So let me listen to myself. Okay. Okay. We're good. We're good. Okay. We are A-okay. Don't worry. I thought we were in a worse state than potentially possible, all that bullshit. We're okay. I thought that was going to be horrible for us, and it was going to be like, you're going to hear me. I'm going to be like, hey guys, we're going to read Arc 9 today. Like that one clip I showed on the last stream. I was so worried. Right. We're okay. We're okay. That's all right. You know what? We're going to keep going. However, Amelia was confused as she did not understand why she was being stopped. After all, she had to rush to the tower, where Subaru and the others were in trouble. Is it because Reinhard will have a hard time if there are more of us? Well, it would be really, or it would really be difficult to lighten up anymore, but I'll do my best. Even if Amelia and Zodabug, Nichan join in. Good nickname for him, Felt. Reducing him just to that. I mean, he can use them, but like, mm, it won't make much of a difference to that guy's workload. But that's not what you're saying, right? Regardless of your perception of me, Felt Sama, yes. Felt and Otto nodded to each other while question marks flew above Amelia's head. However, although Amelia was unable to keep up uh, with what the two of them were thinking, she held no doubt that those thoughts were correct and had been thoroughly considered. Felt-chan, be careful. Tell Reinhardt as well. As for Al, naturally, when it comes to the helmet bastard, I can't make any promises. Sorry about that. No, I'm glad you clearly told me that you cannot make any promises. The reunion was short-lived, and the content of the conversation had not been pleasant in the slightest. Still, Amelia gave Felt. I saw hug in there, and I think I put her like the H in her name. Felt a parting hug and saw the girl, whose expression had become strange, off from the royal castle. Afterward, Felt and the others had been flown to the Astrea domain by Reinhard. Thereupon, it was a matter of performing a large variety of tasks that would be absolutely vital. Even so, Subaru, after Felt's tempestuous depart, uh, Amelia remained in the royal residence with her gaze cast downward. Even now, she had not been able to relax her tightly clenched fists. Uh, Felt had, honestly, I should probably scroll down more because there's occasionally a moment where I'm like, I gotta lean. Uh, Felt had said that everyone in the Palladius Watchtower had suffered. Make sure I didn't click anything. Terribly. However, among them, the one Amelia was most anxious about was her knight, Subaru. Even in the Empire, he had put in a great effort for the sake of Rem and Spica. He had fought alongside Abel, shrunk down to a child, grew big again, and yet he had not been able to save Priscilla. He tried to. I mean, she obviously doesn't know, but he he sure as fuck tried to. He debated it, and Priscilla was like, "Nah, nah. Listen, I know you're gonna do some shit. Nah, right?" So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, again, obviously she doesn't know, but it's just a funny thing of like, technically, he tried. Ah, all right. Let's go back. Uh, the way he had punished himself by having his many friends from the Empire beat him up was something she could not bear to watch, and yet the kindness Subaru had shown in consideration of Al was betrayed. Was she even? Was she there for that? She might have been, and I just don't remember. But like, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be Beatrice and Tanza that were there, because I think I'm maybe I'm wrong. Was it Tanza who points it? It's either Tanza or Beatrice who outright just sits there and goes, "Hey, can we stop?" Right? Like one of them just sits there and it's like, "Listen, this is excessive." I think it might have been Tanza because Tanza's kind of like joined in with that, right? Uh, so as much as like Beatrice is healing and all that, I think it might have been her. No, it might have been one of the others. I'd have to go back. I think I might have to go back and check up on that. It's not that insane of a detail, but then again, I mean, I have my notes, right? I can always just go to my notes and scroll through and be like, oh, okay, it was one of them. All I know is I'm pretty sure Amelia was not there at all, which is why it's a little strange that she is brought up, but potentially she could have been there. I guess she could have been there earlier and then just fucking dipped because she was like, nah, I can't watch that. He's gonna do it. I can't stop him. I'm not watching that, right? So that might have been the case. Uh, their eye, a strange sensation had been lit deep in her chest, and it bubbled forth, making Amelia aware of the heat within her own heart. Feeling that was neither sad nor heartbreaking, it was an emotion that Amelia had rarely harbored, and was thus greatly perplexing to her. A sensation like this within her chest, the depths of her eyes, at the very core of her heart, the feeling as if vigorously boiling, the last time she had felt this way, during her confrontation with Regulus back in Pristella. Oh, she is like, dude, that shit is bubbling, is what they're saying. Her rage is bubbling. Ooh, ooh. I don't know if people remember. I used to have. Can it be seen? Oh, the mic kind of blocks it, but I think it's visible. This figure of her, I used to have right up here, like right beside like where Rem is. That's where she was. Uh, and it was funny because I made the post on Twitter of like it looks like she's giving a command, like pointing like this, like you, and then just Goku's like firing, right? It's like she's giving the command to him. That's perfectly what this is like. It is just that. She gets confronted with Alan. It's like I don't know where Goku like instant transmissions and him and just boom. It's silly, but honestly, it's why I love some of the placement back there in terms of what I did. I did have to move her just for the sake of making room because like that REM is massive, right? So it's like I needed a lot of room, and that was the perfect place to have a lot of room. Uh, whereas like these few down here are just a few figures down here. It's very simple. Uh, but I wish I could have kept her up there because it would have been nice. That said, I'm trying to have like more room here and everything for all sorts of figures and books and everything. So I might be able to do it again soon. I just, we'll see when that time comes. But, for now, it's a memory from before. If anything, it almost looks like, what I could do? Holy shit, I gotta, ah, there's, there's that one piece of art that dropped because I think it was for the other Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Legends, and it's not even a piece of art. It's like an actual unit they had of Goku and Bardock, and it's this thing of like Goku's like this or he's like this. He's one of the two, right? And then Bardock's the opposite. And I'm realizing Rem's hand there is like this, right? So I put Rem beside the Goku. She's like this. Goku's like this. It literally a combination. Uh, you know, I might have found a compromise. I might have found a compromise for that shelf. I might have found a nice idea here. Quick drink before we continue. Oh my god, we are going through. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to stay hydrated, but we are chunking through this thing and we're not even done. Okay. At Regulus, who had bound the hearts of his brides, uh, I don't remember how to say her name. Uh, Sil- Sylphie, Sylphie, Selfie. That's what Uh, and the others. For utterly selfish reasons, Amelia had been truly, truly furious. Orewa, I'm not even gonna try. I don't remember what the actual word is, but I was gonna say the line that Goku says on Namek. Uh, I think it's like, is it? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not even gonna bother. Same as back then, or perhaps one even greater, now burned within her. Amelia-sama, thank you for granting my plea. Otto-kun. Amelia, who had realized that she was greatly furious to the extent of being nearly unable to contain it, had intuitively understood that Otto, who wore a calm expression, was also feeling the same. Maybe we should just like zoom it in, because it's like I think while I'm standing, it's a little tougher, but like I don't know. I did scroll correctly, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, careful. That was also to be expected. After all, being worried for Subaru and the others, Otto was one among those who had accompanied Amelia and the others to the Empire. This state could not be allowed to continue. Eep! Make a loud thwack sound. Amelia slapped her own cheeks with both hands. It was an act so unexpected that Otto exclaimed, Emilia, or Emilia-sama, in astonishment. Feeling sorry about that, Mila lowered her hands from her stinging cheeks. Just now, my mind was going haywire. I didn't feel like I would be able to speak properly. That's why. But now, I feel alright. Well, the alright part was a lie, but I could speak properly. You'll never believe who was at the door. Okay, this time, for real, let him in. Hmm. Bo, wanna jump up? Oh, your tail is vibrating. He is happy. He is a happy boy. He's a happy boy. You want to come up here so they can see you? Oh, he's standing nice and tall. He's also away from the camera, so you can't even see him. How about up here? Aha, now you can see him. Okay. If you want to sit in the chair, that's all right. My ass will be in your face, but like, if you want to sit there, say okay. Except for when I need to sit, because I'm probably gonna sit. Uh, okay. Uh, honestly, sitting might not be a bad idea, seeing as we have the light in our face and everything, but it's all right for now. Oh, getting. Oh, I see. Just emails about other stuff. That's whatever. The alright part was a lie. Yep. Is that so? In that case, I too shall. Yikes! As Amelia nodded, a thwack resounded as Otto also slapped his own cheeks the same way she did. Having done so with such strength, Amelia was startled by the sound that was loud enough to invoke doubts about an impending nosebleed. However, Otto did not get a nosebleed, but his cheeks were likely just as red as Amelia's own. Oh, he jumped down. I shall explain the reason behind why we did not accompany Feltsama. It is because there would be no point in us going and to prepare for the unlikely possibility. Please continue. Did you just go back to the door? Okay, no. The door is moving because of wind. Because, I can tell by, like, the door if he's wanting out. Hey, that's my cord for the stream deck. Please don't take it. It's, what can I do? We're gonna do this. Boom. Solved. Now you can't bite it as well. Sucks to suck. Um, like, Amelia did not interrupt the explanation that Otto, with both of his hands upon his cheeks, was giving. She had questions, she had plenty she wanted to say, but first she would listen to everything the other had to say. For Otto, for Otto would have already prepared a proper reply for nearly everything Amelia was concerned about. Reinhard is on the front lines, and there is no point in sending anyone based on their military might. Feltsama also must also understand that. Then the reason why she still decided to return to her domain would be that's so she could prepare. Correct. Just why are you grabbing my things? You're making me regret letting you in again. Correct. Just think about it. Aside from Natsuki-san and the others, if Feldsama's companions in the tower were attacked, Reinhardt-san would obviously appear. Despite all that, Al-san, uh, that man took the plunge. Finally, Amelia began to understand what Otto was trying to say. He almost just knocked over my water while he was jumping down. Quick drink. You are going fucking crazy right now. Like, not in a bad way, I'm just saying you are going nuts. I gotta move this or else he's gonna see he can jump up there. Apologies, friends, for the occasional just like focusing on the cat a little bit. I just want to make sure he's not destroying anything. But it's cute to have him on camera. If he's on camera right now, let me see. You're not even on camera. They can't even see you. Uh, we were here. Reinhard was overwhelmingly strong. Most likely of the people Amelia knew, no, even including the people she did not know, Reinhard was the strongest in the world. Puck had said so himself, so it had to be true. I like the idea of whatever Puck says has to be true, including how babies are made. Understanding that he would clash against Reinhard, excuse me, it was strange to expect that Al had nothing prepared, meaning Al definitely had something prepared, and so even Reinhard could be in danger. Uh, Feldchan was worried about Reinhard, so she went back in order to prepare. But then, what about us? If we are preparing, we probably. Oh! He just grabbed my like finger with his teeth. Uh, we probably should do so with Feldchan and the others. We're the ones after Reinhardt-san. That Feltsama and the others have prepared for. I see. Or after him, as in like afterwards. Okay. I see. If he knows Reinhardt is coming and he was preparing for that, and she is planning for preparation, that's right. Of course. Or of course, if we begin talking about preparations for preparations, then there would be no end to the discussion. The reason behind the man's reckless actions is because of what happened in the Empire. Even if his plan is thorough, it does not seem likely uh, he would have had much time to prepare. Yeah, that's right. Thanks to the careful and detailed explanation, Amelia's understanding had caught up to Otto and the others. While Amelia admired the depth with what he thought, she could not help but feel terribly and profoundly sad when Otto intentionally shifted from calling Aosan to that man. Otto had a strong sense of camaraderie. Among Amelia's friends, stop grabbing shit. Uh, Among Amelia's friends, his was surely the strongest. It was what made him so reliable, but it also forced him to make painful compromises. Nevertheless, I too don't know what to think. Al, uh, he had, hold on, he had a reason. There had to be one. But even if he had a reason, there were some things that she could not allow or forgive. She was worried about Subaru. Was Beatrice okay? She had heard that Reinhard. She had heard that Garfield was injured. Petra and Melee were undoubtedly filled with anxiety. Subaru's beloved Patrasche, she might also be crying. Roaring flames, the inside of her chest grew hot. It's my fault. Like that, in front of Amelia, whose heart was set ablaze with emotions, Otto suddenly muttered this. Not understanding the contents of his utterance, Amelia's eyes unconsciously widened, as if she became lost for words. Otto covered his face with the hand that he had been resting on his cheek up until now, and stared up at the ceiling. Because he was taller than she was, when he did this, Amelia was unable to see his face. However, the trembling of that voice She understood that it came uh, not just from simple anger. Also, tall. I mean, he is probably like a bit taller, but like taller than his face to a point that she can't see it. I do find that a little strange because it's like I don't think he's that tall unless he is. Maybe he is. I always kind of assumed like Amelia's probably like 5'8", 5'9", something like that. And then Otto is like somewhere in that range. Because like she's roughly the same height as Subaru, so it's like maybe actually 5'7" is more correct. Because I think he's 5'7". I could be wrong. Subaru might be shorter than that, but I'm pretty sure he's like roughly 5'7". Uh, so then Otto's probably like close as well, but maybe he's not. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and they just do it very oddly. Hey, you were like spinning that chair. I wonder if that's like just some. Okay, you just bit down on my thumb. You good? You good? You don't want to see the window at all? There's a nice window there. Turns out it's just me. I'm all that matters here. Let me see if does that go on camera? See, I can't see it if you do it like that. You went really excessive for that one when I was trying to actually see. Here, you know what? I just want to pick him up. Hey, hold on. Hey, I know you're excited. I know you want to play, but what? Look, window, window. Do you see that? Do you want me to? Here, do you want me to do this? Look, it's a window. There's birds. You love birds. No, nothing. I guess I am all that matters right now, which is nice, but it's also doing that. So, all right. Back to what we're doing. Uh, However, yeah, we did that. I thought Natsuki-san was getting too involved, moving for the sake of what Priscilla-sama's death had been left behind. You went to that window instead. Uh, had left behind. I forced myself to agree in order to save him with a distraction from himself. Tried to convince myself that it would be fine if Amelia or I'm I'm getting all these names like all over the place. For some reason, I am like I'm saying a name and then it's not what is there. I think he is not helping. Uh, Beatrice Chan, who had been separated from him, would be by his side. Care and follow up. I thought I could leave it to the brave Petra Chan. Otto Kun. Above everything else, I entrusted everything to Garfield. Those things that we should have done, we forced onto our straightforward, ever honest, sensitive Garfield. Otto Kun. The moment the tremble in his voice was bordered on a complete breakdown, Amelia grabbed both of Otto's arms and lowered his face with her hand so that she could see him head on. Then she saw it for the first time ever. Yeah, she saw Otto's blue eyes moist with tears. Damn it, why am I always so thoughtless? Even when my hands cannot reach, even when my feet cannot even make it in time, I have no choice but to use my head to make up for the shortcomings. Even though I act like I understand that, even though I pretend to be clever, at the most critical moments I always. No longer did she want to hear any more of Otto's continuous self blame, with that tearful face twisted in sorrow. So, Amelia, without releasing the arm she had been holding, drew him towards her and hugged Otto's head against her chest. Perhaps it was the suddenness of Amelia's unexpected action that rendered Otto frozen without a sound. In the meantime, don't talk about yourself like that. Otto-kun is always doing your best. We all understand that, and that's why we want to properly hear what Otto-kun has to say. Milia-sama. I know. Even though I say this, Otto-kun probably understands it too, right? Uh, but I only have my own words. I can only say what I am thinking, so I can at least say with my own feelings. So, nothing is over yet. We really can still do so much more. Uh, Amelia spoke with resolute declaration as she tightly held Otto's head with her arms. Ow! Uh, it was as though she were telling this to herself, yet at the same time, she still carried the belief that her words were true. Quick drink. I hope we're not like fucking with time here too much. Like, I really hope I don't mess up trying to at least get two in because of me fucking with the cat and like you know playing hopscotch with my hands essentially. I was looking at it there because oh, you are in a very bad spot. I'm gonna carefully remove him. I hope he didn't click a damn thing. Because that's where the stream deck was, and he was just like right in front of it. Mic's still on. Stream is still on. All okay. This is all good. He clicked a button that was not in use, which is good. Uh, that's also a bad spot to be in because you're like right against all the figures. I might just let you, unless you want to go here. If you want to go there, that's fine. Just please chill out. Okay. Right, where were we? Again, apologies for the fact that I'm like kind of juggling stuff here. I thought it would be all right to have him in the stream, and overall, he's being all right. Oh, he lied down. Good news is he is lied down. He no longer gives a shit. This is great. That means he's in the room, and if we feel like it, we can show him. He's chilled out. He is completely calm. I was gonna say he was starting to calm down. Uh, so that works out. Okay, we're done with that. Apologies once again. All right. The belief. Yep, something that none other than Amelia's night, Natsuki Subaru had woven into her being time and time again. Together, Amelia and Subaru had crafted this unshakable trust to be the very thing they took the greatest pride in. We are really bad at giving up. Indeed, they were not good at it, holding their heads down in distress, curling up and fleeing from it all, and it was precisely because they could not do that that they had no choice but to unyieldingly press on and do their best without ever giving up. Perhaps Amelia's appeal had found its way to him. Suddenly, Otto's body, which had been rigid until this moment, relaxed, and then, please let go of my arms, or Natsuki-san will definitely kill me. No, no one is going to die. It's precisely for that reason that we are doing this. Oh, that's good. That's a good one. I understand, so please let me go. Uh, Amelia begrudgingly let go of the squirming Otto's hands. She had watched him intently, as if to ensure that he had truly recovered. Otto wiped his brow with a handkerchief and let out a sigh. It was a large, deep sigh. No, it's not for the, or I know it is not the time for this, but I just remembered. What did you remember? The reason as to why I'm giving my assistance to Natsuki-san and Emilia-sama. Otto spoke those words calmly, using his handkerchief to lightly wipe away the remaining traces of his tears. The expression he held now was a stark contrast to the anger that he had once contorted his features just moments before, for whatever he had just recalled had now conjured a new-found face of bravery. The enemy has abducted both Natsuki-san and Beatrice-chan. There must be a reason as to why they did it. This aim of abductions is generally to threaten their related parties, or perhaps even abductees themselves. So it's either us or Subaru, right? Yes. The divine dragon is truly is involved. It will prove to be an issue for the entire kingdom. Whatever role we must fulfill, let us do so in the royal capital. Yes, let's do that. We have to move chirpily. As she listened to Otto's future plans, Mila was doing her best to suppress her own impulses. These delayed impulses were an overwhelming urge to rush at once to help out Subaru and the others. Things that Otto's had uh, rationale had constructed, such as Reinhardt's presence and Felt's readiness, her fervent uh, desire threatened to push them all away. She wanted to touch him. She wanted to look at him. She wanted to hear his voice. When he got hurt, when he surely would lower his head, she yearned to be by his side. Subaru. Anger was not the emotion that scorched Amelia's chest. Yet she could not grasp what it was that stirred within her whatsoever. Ooh. 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 Mm. That's some good shit. Ooh. Brothers, sisters, those of unspecified genders, friends. Dude, he's getting excited. He doesn't know what I'm doing, but he got up. He literally jumped up and went, Mer. He thought something was happening. He's checking in on me. He's literally looking at me, trying to figure out what's going on. Like he's pawing at me and everything. Who drink? Hold on, I need to take a drink before we talk. You're gonna sit right there. I mean, that's okay. You can sit right there. As long as that doesn't unplug the cords, you can sit right there. Tell you what. Oh, never mind. I was gonna be like, let me take a picture of him, and I'll post it for people on Twitter. Just like where he is. But oh, that's also adorable. You are very tired now, aren't you? Okay. So, listen. We knew with Arcade, we knew that shit was starting to develop, right? We knew that already. That was a known thing. Ooh. But that right there, that's it. That's it right there. Development. Development. I was gonna say, as soon as I saw it, like, listen, I know it isn't inherently, I'm gonna say love related in a certain sense, but as soon as I saw not all of that, you are moving my hand while I do this. As soon as I saw this right here, right, what is going on? Every time I try to highlight this, there we go. As soon as I saw that, right, that that seemed a little strange to me. I'm like, that's like the type of thing that like I'm not gonna make a comparison of like you watch or read a rom com. No, like in general, right? You go through those stages of love. Like that's one of the first things you go through, right? It's just like, man, I want to hold hands with that person. I want to see them. All this sort of shit, right? That's like one of the first things. So seeing that, I'm like, and like she wanted to hear his voice. Like that's like some, that's some shit there. And then I get to that, and I'm like, dude, like I said, we knew in Arc 8, we already knew, right, with some of the stuff happening with her there. Dude, that's good. That's really good. Oh, that's developing. I get to be excited because that makes me wonder, like, is it gonna be, when it comes out, she's gonna be all excited again? Is it gonna be uh Arc 10 or Arc 11 or whatever it might be? Because like the obvious thing is like I think this is something we all know. She is gonna say those words as we get to like the last arc, right? We have no idea what's gonna happen with that last arc, but it's very obvious she's gonna say the words there, right? Um, I almost want to do a comparison. I'm not gonna do a comparison. I like not to other things. I just I'm realizing what I could compare, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna keep for the sake of my own self. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Uh, but that is something that we kind of all know is that it's probably going to be like that by the end, which it's an exciting thing to look forward to, but obviously we don't know how it's going to come and what's going to happen and all that sort of shit. It's just a matter of getting there. This though feels like that bridge, right? This is what it always feels like, but it always feels like a bridge to like we're getting there, right? We are eventually gonna hit that point and it's gonna be so fucking exciting, right? um in the meantime, I do actually kind of want to look at how much we have left. Hopefully I do this correctly. I'm gonna look away in case there's art. I saw art, but I'm gonna look away It doesn't actually. It doesn't seem like we have a lot left. I did not scroll down very far. Okay, I might scroll down a little far. Let's go here. I want to see how much we have left. That is a YouTube link. That is the YouTube link to my live. I was trying to copy, then paste. Oh yeah, 3,000 words. Okay, yeah, we're almost done. Sick. Uh, Not even 3,000, but technically 3,000. Yeah, if we just go through this, especially now that the cat's calmed down. He wants to hold my finger, but he has calmed down. Yeah, we can zoom through this. But yeah, that's that is really good. Fuck, dude. I do almost want to check how long the next chapter is. I saw that there was a one that was really short, but I don't think it's the next one. There's one that's like, in terms of whichever it is. I think it's katakana because I think katakana is what you use to actually write, whereas kanji is the more simplified thing. It's rough to remember, but I think that's how it is. Um, I think I saw one that's like 8,000 or 9,000 characters or words is what was mentioned, and that's like 3,000 less of what I think this chapter had. So that's even shorter, right? But I don't think that's the next one. It could be, and if it is, sick, but I don't think it is. You are licking my finger. Thank you. Isn't it strange how cats have like very dry fingers? Like it just feels weird because it's like it's so dry. Like it makes sense because it's like, meant for cleaning themselves and all that. But like as well as eating. But like you're gonna fall if you do that. Back here. Back here. Good. There you go. I don't want you falling off the desk because that could be very bad. But that's good, dude. Like I like every time we get to see Amelia's character develop, and I like that inherently it's not a rage sort of thing that's happening right now with her. It's this, this fury of love. Like she wants Subaru to be safe, so she is therefore pissed at Al. Right? That's good. That's really good. We're gonna have to refill soon, but honestly, if we can make it through this whole thing without having to refill, that's ideal. Because then we can go on break. I can chill out for a bit, and if the next chapter is short enough, we'll do it. Right? Again, if it's not short enough, I might just call it there. It's unfortunate. We might still chill out after, but like, I am hoping that we are all right. Right? Um, yeah. I guess let's just get back to it. Yeah. Diving in without so much as listening to a word, she drove a strike carrying every fiber of her being into Al's solar plexus, all of this in accordance with the instructions of Otto, who had dispatched Amelia here. Please suppress the urge to listen to the opponent's pleas or side of the story. All of that can be sorted out in due time, but for now we must ensure the opposing side does not play their hand. Otto, who had urged Amelia onward as she bolted out, also very smart Otto, had been invoking his divine protection of soul of language to trace the whereabouts of Al and his accomplices, causing his already pale complexion to blanch, to blanch into the deathly parlor, or no, not parlor, pallor. Okay, they're throwing that shit at me that I'm like actually not familiar with, which is weird because like we've been going great so far. Pallor of a man beset by illness. This is what happens when you have a guy who's writing this series who just actively reads the dictionary and learns different words. She did not want him to be reckless, but when it came time to do so, there would be no other choice but to be reckless. Amelia, too, did not live in a way so bereft of recklessness that she could stop him. That was why, in order to bring an end to that recklessness even a little sooner, Amelia was doing her best. How about this? As Amelia began to formulate those words, she felt a peculiar sensation in her ice-hardened fist. Okay, I'll just make it so. As I heard sounds, it was just him flipping over. That's okay. I wanted to make sure it wasn't, like, didn't want to be let out, Because if he did, I was going to open the door. I was just making sure. Um, the gauntlet should have made contact with Al's bare skin. The recoil was making it feel as though she had punched a hard, steadfast wall. How abrupt! Al uttered those words as if wringing them out from his throat. his torso shielded by a coat of stone armor. Yeah, I was gonna say, because he's done the stone, like, prosthetic before, so it's probably armor. What do you know? This was the preemptive strike that Otto had told her to perform, but it had failed. Still, this was not the time to dwell on it. If the first strike did not connect, she would have to try again a second or a third time. I just remembered. Let me do something really quick. Yeah, okay. Let me change it on both. I just forgot to do something way earlier. We're okay. I just needed to do that. Okay. Uh, the fact that you ain't even gonna lend an ear is kind of cold. Uh, that's Al's the one who. Mm, uh, I promise not to say. Uh, those Owl stone armor had absorbed the punch. The impact had flung him backward. As he said those things, Amelia had forcibly shut her own mouth mid retort and then formed a two-handed hammer of ice, sweeping it at him in a horizontal strike. The one-armed owl was bearing a small figure slung over his shoulder. Whilst thinking it unfair to exploit that handicap of his, Amelia deliberately aimed a blow toward Owl's left side. That strike, unleashed at her full strength, was going to be very painful if landed. But painful was not all that it would have been. Al caught Amelia's underhanded attack with his left arm, a limb of stone. Yep, exactly what I was talking about. Forged through magic. But despite blocking the attack, he clicked his tongue and promptly destroyed and discarded the arm he had gone through the trouble of creating. The reason for this was the area struck by the ice hammer was beginning to freeze over, the encroaching frost having been about to reach Al's body. If we set aside our emotional concerns, capturing that man alive is an absolute necessity in order to rescue Natsuki-san and Beatrice Sama. In that respect, your fighting style is a compatible fit, Amelia Sama. Nonetheless, I promised that I wouldn't be reckless like Subaru. Keeping the exchange and the promise she forged with Otto before her departure close to her heart, Amelia conjured a new set of twin ice swords, Amelia's ice brand arts. Her usage of it gained a new variation. Weapons of ice would freeze her opponents upon impact. Ooh! Robbing them of control over both their body and weapon. It demanded a modest increase in mana consumption in comparison to her ordinary weapons, but that was within the standard error deviation so long as she would not be fighting too much. To stop an opponent without taking their life, the possibility of this new martial art was what Amelia had desired. A little bit further. Ah, Uncle, it seems you've gotten yourself into a real pickle, haven't you? Shut it. Casting aside the artificial arm that had begun to freeze over, Al shouted at the heckler he was carrying. Upon seeing that the person Al had gone through such lengths to carry was none other than Roy Alfred, who had been held captive in the prison tower, Amelia bit her lip. Roy, the same archbishop that Amelia's comrades had done their utmost to capture at the Pleiades watchtower, with the help of Anastasia's own group, Julius in particular had exerted the utmost of efforts, and his decision not to take Roy's life, as well as Anastasia's courage to accept that, were things that Amelia had looked exceedingly favorably upon. That was a long ass sentence. Uh, but now they'll both be so disappointed. Whatever his reasons might have been, Amelia would halt Al here and now. Alongside him, she would also detain the one whom Al brought out, Roy. I ain't got a single reason to go along with your intentions, though. Immediately after vocalizing such enthusiasm, Al's feet underwent a sudden upheaval, and the two runaways were launched into the sky. In such a manner, he was distanced from Amelia and made an attempt to flee from the scene. With a late start, Amelia would be unable to catch up to him, even were she to extend out her ice. But, icicle line. A barrier of ice and snow was deployed from the prison tower, preventing his escape. Yeah, I was going to say, just block him overhead, right? With a cry of "Whoa!" ringing out across the sky. Al's escape sequence ended in failure, forwarded by the canopy of ice spreading out to completely cover the area surrounding him. Quick drink. We're going at record pace here. Alrighty. A little bit more. Okay. For a second, I thought I like got water on here. I was like, oh no, no, we're all right. Okay. Then, as Al's head collided against the glacial ceiling, he was left to plummet upside down. Mila circled around to the spot where he would hit the ground and slammed her twin swords of ice into the suspended Al. The twin swords parried by a hard sensation. Mila's eyes widened, her breath catching. If Al had received the blows with a prosthetic arm, as he had done earlier, it would not have surprised her. Al had indeed created a new arm, but that was not all that had been created. Manifested there were twin swords fashioned from rock. Earthbrand arts, or something like that. You copycat? It was Natsuki Subaru who came up with this, yeah? In that case, I've also got the right to use it. What the fuck does he mean? Once again, this is a thing with Al's character where it's like, what the fuck is going on with this dude, right? I mean, I guess you could almost be like, oh, he has him captive. That's what he's essentially saying. I mean, let me look a little further. No, but like, listen, every single time Tepe implies this shit with like Al, and I don't think that is the absolute answer because it's so fucking obvious, right? But it's like, what does it mean then, right? Because it's very clear it's like he's not Subaru outright, but what is the fucking implication with his character? I think we'll probably find that out by the end of this arc. It's just like, man, I right now, again, I don't know. It's just we still gotta wait on that. But before Amelia, her eyes wide open, Al spun from the recoil of their clashing twin blades of frost and stone. As distance opened up between them, he once again landed upon the snowy ground, giving rise to sound in his vicinity. Stone weapons began to form one after another around Al. Bracing herself at the fact that Al could essentially replicate her Icebrand arts with his earth magic, Amelia realized something. With stone-forged arm, Al wielded stone-forged armaments. But Roy, who was supposed to have been on his shoulder until a moment ago, was nowhere to be found. Don't tell me. Ah, I let him get away in the turmoil just now. Would have been cool to say that, but I couldn't let it happen either. I just discarded him because he was getting in the way. Over there. Melee's shoulders had been jolted, but Al just shrugged and jerked his chin. He motioned toward the pillar of earth that he had risen earlier, in which Roy was affixed upside down in the center. Uh, Covered in a quilt of earth, Roy was bound to the pillar, cackling upon receiving Amelia's gaze. Do your best, One-san. If One-san doesn't win here, we'll have no choice but to do whatever that uncle says. Wait a sec. But even if One-san wins, we'll still have to go right back into the prison tower. Haha, guess it doesn't matter who wins, right? If you wake up and reflect on your actions, then do that. Giving that answer to Roy, whose gaze fixedly clung to her, Amelia felt relieved for having not let him slip away. She turned back to Al. Roy, having been freed from the seal that he was encased in magic, was exceedingly dangerous. But with this time having been frozen as well, they had been unable to make him reflect. Thus, Amelia's compromise had been manifested. She was going to confine him in an environment from which he could not escape. While his consciousness remained, he would be forced to reflect on everything he had done. All that can come later, once everything's here's all sorted out. That's all fine and dandy, but but what? You finally feel like talking to me now? Ah, from here, from here then, from here on out, I won't say another word. How cold, little miss. I figured you'd understand if I just talked to. Whoa! Al was eager to continue speaking, but towards him was hurled a stake of ice from Amelia. We're trying to capture him here. I mean, I guess like injuring is kind of part of it, but like proclamation of her intent. Al leapt sideways to evade it, and Amelia circled around to his side, thrusting a spear of frost into his flank. The tip of ice spear was caught by the blade of a rocky sword. Oh, that's too much. See, that's exactly where I didn't want you to be. Why'd you jump up there out of nowhere? Hold on, friends. Yep, come over here. Don't break anything. Careful. Good. Just back down. Sit right there. Listen, I'm right here. I'm right in front of you. You need me, you paw at me. You do that all the time. You okay? That's a good cat. Oh! I think he's excited again. I don't know why. Okay. Uh, Rocky sword thing. Uh, Shattering both simultaneously. Instantly, the two forged their subsequent weapons, Amelia a rapier of ice and Al a sword of stone. Thus, the clashing of their blades commenced. 'Twas a duel in which the blades would be forged upon shattering, and the blades would be shattering upon forging. How nice, so nice, quite nice, very nice, perhaps it's nice, isn't it nice? It's probably nice, because it appears to be nice. Gluttonous drinking, gluttony. The sound of Roy's voice as he licked his lips could be heard as he watched over Amelia and Al engage in a fight or in a sword fight of frost and stone. Hold on. Quick drink. Oof. I do kind of hope that next chapter is like relatively the same length because we might not do another. It is, this is taking a little. How long have we been going? Yeah, almost 2 hours. I expected this one wouldn't take as long, but then again, cat. So that said, we're probably close to the end. So whilst deliberately ignoring him, Amelia unleashed a multitude of nimble attacks. Attacks that she was certain would strike true, yet Al had precariously dodged each one, with each narrow invasion filling Amelia with a growing sensation that something was amiss. Oh, oh shit. So we're not even showing. Oh, so we're not showing it anymore. We're just giving you the idea that he is. So I guess the implication is that any attack that comes at her, just like every other fight Al has had, is the whole thing of like she does the spear, right? It's not necessarily he sees the spear and immediately goes boom, right? Like he's an expert or some shit. It's he sees the spear, stab, right? Some way he kills himself, whether it's biting his tongue or whatever, or just like sending the stone for himself, all that. And then go back, do it again, block the spear. Makes sense. But very cool that they're not even like, I just put that right in the sun. That's fun. Uh, Very cool that it's not even just necessarily like full on, we're going to show every loop now, like we did with Reinhard. Now it's just a fight, right? With the implication of it being there. That's really cool. Attacks were not hit even when they seemed like they would. It felt like akin to driving a kick into formless water. But all else, I don't want to praise it too much, but that's a well refined technique. I envy your mutual love and understanding, little miss. At that remark that had gone too far, Amelia was enraged. Uh, she resolved to do whatever she must to rid the land of that evil and ruthless king. Remembering that cliche stock phrase that Subaru had told her that people use when they got angry, Amelia was enraged. She did not want Al to speak about herself or Subaru in such a manner. But what infuriated Amelia even more was the knowledge that Al did not genuinely believe his own words. He had been merely prodding her in a deliberate attempt to invoke her fury. In addition, I've been thinking about this for a while, but why do you look so lonely when you talk to me, Al? You said you wouldn't speak with me. Don't bring that up only don't bring that up only when it's convenient for you. Also, one more thing. Raising her voice, Amelia lifted a great sword of ice high aloft and swung it down, prompting Al to position his stone sword above his head to receive the strike. Then, suddenly, somebody latched onto Al's legs and waist. Gasping, Al realized that what had latched onto his body was none other than the owner of the pair of icy arms, a soldier of ice. Thon at the presence of the ice soldier sculpted in the likeness of Subaru, whom on whom Amelia so deeply relied. Al grit his teeth with a "that's the worst." Thereupon Amelia raised her foot, clad with a slipper of ice overhead, to dodge this overhead. When you talk to me, look at me properly. This time, her wholehearted kick pierced through the rocky defenses, slamming directly into Al. That is a sick ass piece. I like that. That is good. We gotta like that after. Ye's reaction, slightly raising her eyebrows with a twitch, a twitch. did not go unnoticed by Felt's perspectiveness. It was not as though she held conviction. Only in a pathetic situation where she could not do a thing, she would attempt to cling to every last thread of hope, believing any further disgrace to be insignificant. One such shred. I think I saw Fred earlier and then I just replaced it. Shred, whilst recalling a previous occasion on which she had been instilled with the resolve to die, with the hope that this conversation between herself and Ye was perhaps being eavesdropped on by an insignificant something. Be quiet. Upon opening her, bleh, opening one of her usually narrow eyes, Ye advanced towards the door of the room. The pressure of the demand possessed enough power to convince Felt that if she took any careless actions, the threat fastened to her neck would enact her execution. There we go. Leaving the immobile Felt there, Ye reached out her hand to open the door. That instant, the sharp point of his sword pierced the door with a nary a sound, mercilessly surging through Ye's throat. Oh my god, it stabbed her in the throat? Felt's breath caught, and visible to her was the sight of Ye's white throat, sword piercing through, but it did not. The tip of the sword came to a halt, just barely before it could slit Ye's throat. It was not. It was not that her opponent had stopped. By binding a thread to the tip of the sword, Ye had narrowly averted the attack. By a hair's breadth, she had narrowly snatched the survival from the jaws of death. However, the crisis befalling Ye did not end there. A sword distinct to the one that had been curbed erupted with a flash of light, cutting down the door as its shining steel ran amok. Uh, Faced with the oncoming storm of swords, Ye leapt backward as she brandished her threads. Sword for one, a thread for the other. Nevertheless, did the clash between the two weapons spark that of steel on steel throughout the room. I'm going to assume just clang. Uh, Scorching the eyes of the onlooking Felt with the cool spectacle of swords. I'm not even going to try. Uh, with skillful control over her hands, Ye released a volley of bread attacks that blanked all sight, tearing apart the room's luxurious interior design. However, her opponent also put on an impressive display of swordplay with both hands, clearing away her ferocious onslaught head on, forcefully sweeping aside the threads that had been entangled their own sword. Gyaw! Guh! Unleashed with a front kick, landing squarely upon Ye's slender waist. Promptly twisting her body, Ye did a half spin whilst being blown away, planting her feet on the wall before landing on the ground, her hands clutched to her stomach. Then, training her gaze upon the intruder who had performed those acts, to so suddenly deliver a kick to a lady's stomach, what a relentless guest you are! Was such a thing necessary? Relent for a shinobi such as yourself? Isn't that discrimination against shinobi? It's not very gentlemanly behavior now, is it? Unfortunately, I possess no recollections of ever deserving to be called a gentleman. No matter where the wind blows me, I cannot be anything more than a swordsman, with no talents save swinging the sword. With those words, the individual shook the threads off both of their swords, turning their calm blue eyes towards the. Hearing that self-assessment, Felt softly muttered, "Stop spewing that crap." To be sure, she did not know if he was a gentleman or not. Only the evaluation of a swordsman alone could not encompass his entirety. There were many who would not accept such a description of this man on its own. This Felt new. After all, this man, styling himself as a swordsman, was the sword demon who had once surpassed the pinnacle of the sword. Wilhelm Turius, or Trias. I was almost gonna say Teresia, some oh yeah, she took on her first name as its last name. No, Trias. Upon catching the wind of the predicament driving the kingdom into ruin, I came at once to offer what little help I could. Upon hearing that introduction, Felt retreated to the corner of the room and sighed. At the arrival of an unthinkable reinforcement, she was filled with a terribly complicated emotions. Soderbergh Nichan, you really do whatever it takes, don't you? What the hell is wrong with all these guys from Amelia Nichan's place? With that, she muttered in equal parts exasperation and admiration. Hmm, good, good. But I did see art on my feed that was Wilhelm because like I'm gonna be honest, some people don't necessarily like. Okay, so Twitter is impossible to spoiler stuff now. Hold on, actually. Also, you know what? We didn't hit the 2 hour mark. That was good. That was really good. My calculations were overall correct. It was going to take like an hour and 20 minutes to get through that. I was right. It worked out. Like, I did a good job calculating how long that would actually be, which means the cat didn't actually fuck with me too much, right? In terms of like him playing around. Um, let's go to the next one. That is some. Oh wait, yeah, right. The art. Oh, I almost forgot. To Twitter. Um, one, two. Because I like both of those pieces a lot. Yeah, I saw art on Twitter about Wilhelm and all that, and it was really unfortunate because it's like I didn't want to uh like I usually mute tags and everything so that I don't see that shit. Just in case somebody drops in, let's just move it down a little bit. Um, where's a good place to move this? Maybe here? Yeah, that's a good place. Okay, boom. See, now nothing can be seen. That's good. Um, yeah, I don't usually want to see that stuff on my Twitter and everything, just because I try to mute that stuff out. So it was unfortunate to go on there and see that because it didn't have the Arc 9 tag, it didn't have ReZero on it and everything. I just saw it raw, right, which was kind of unfortunate. This has free art sources. That worries me that this might be a long ass chapter. Let's find out. Let's do our research. I'm looking away. I'm looking away. I saw a piece there, so that means there's the second one, there's the third one. We just do this and we hit copy and we go here and we clear it and we click on that and we look away and we go up. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Absolute 5,000 words. That's okay. That I can do that. I want to take a break, but we can do that. Absolutely. Okay. I am okay with that. Absolutely. Definitely need more water. And I'm definitely gonna need to get more water because like look at that. But that is even less words than this chapter. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Alrighty. Still didn't finish it. Hold on. A little bit more. Yep, that was it. I felt it. Alright, cool. So, that was good. Very good. I like that chapter a lot. That was some good fight stuff. I didn't even realize it was gonna be Wilhelm coming through the door because like I guess it does say sword demon. I might be stupid. Uh I saw like the title for this because I was like essentially, I was like here and I went all the way down and I was like here and then I went all the way down and I went to like here and I saw the title, but for some reason I guess I saw Crimson and my brain thought Reinhard and it didn't account for the fact that it was like Sakura, which means like, oh wait, that's yay. And that part would be Wilhelm, right? So even though I saw that art on my feed and everything, I'm like, oh wait, yeah. Um, okay. That was really good though. I love that segment with Amelia and like the fight, as well as the affirmation that her feelings really are growing and all that planning. It was good. That was really nice, right? It's like strange because that chapter, again, it almost doesn't feel, uh, what do I want to say? Like as like, it almost doesn't feel like it's shorter than the previous one, but at the same time, it is like absolutely because also it took us like you know, about 15 minutes to actually get past the starting soon, and then an extra 5 or 10 minutes to go, right? So technically, it absolutely was shorter because we're not even at 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's what we were at last time. So yeah, that was really good though. Like I said, I like that. That was fun. Excited to see where we go from there. This chapter is presumably just going to be this. So, you know, that's gonna be a fun one. I think for now though, we go on BRB. I'm gonna grab some more water. We're also gonna chill out. We're not gonna jump right into this just yet, right? We're gonna chill out a little bit, do some other stuff. I'll figure out what we're gonna do, right? And then give it like I'm gonna say like 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, whatever it may be, of that. We'll get right back into it. Okay. So with that said, let's go on BRB, enjoy the music, and yeah, did I already click it? No. Okay, I wanted to make sure. And yeah, we'll be right back. I have some unfortunate news, friends. He did, in fact, leave the room. He is gone. Let me actually tilt this camera down a bit. Just a bit. Nothing too much. Let's just move that down a bit. That's better. Alrighty. We are back. Obviously, we're going to chill out for a bit. That's alright. Make sure I get that a bit more. Because the sun's starting to actually like get in my face. So I'm just going to put that up for now. And then maybe after we open it up again. But for now, just keep it like that. Alrighty. Now I decide what I'm going to do for the time being. While we just talk about shit. What do I want to do? Let me open this little thing up here. Potentially there's a game I could play. You know, just for the time being. Right. Obviously, we'll set it up on actual stream, but yeah, but he did in fact leave the room, and then also, you know, when he was downstairs, I thought I was like with him, and I'm like, oh yeah, do you want to like come with? You know, I'm like doing this, and he just walked off into a different room. So I'm like, okay, no, he's done. He's done for now. He's probably not coming back. He's probably just gonna go sleep on a chair. I've been grinding out Pirate Yakuza, so you know what? We could do that. I could connect my controller. I hope I don't have to charge it at all because I don't want OBS to take the mic on it. But I'm not opposed to doing Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So let's just open that up. I will also unmute the desktop in a moment here. I just want to make sure we're all good. And then I'll use my phone to just see everything. Yep, that's all good. Let me make sure control is on and working. Oh, don't tell me I gotta charge it. I do have a workaround for that. Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm gonna use keyboard just to get it open fully. But I do actually have to charge it. But like I said, I have a compromise. So I'm technically gonna put it on BRB, but we're not BRB. I just don't want to like have my empty chair on camera, you know what I mean? We're gonna avoid that. Now, I do a little reworking. You should reach. Yep. Which is no problem. Go through here, no problem. Beautiful. Alright. And now, do a little bit of plugging in. Great. We are good to go. But I'm going to put it on here. Whoa, 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 whoa. And I'll get rid of it after, but... let's go game capture. New... We'll call it pirate. Oh, that's really big. We want to shrink that down. Roughly to about there. And then up there. They're not picking up on this? Weird. Why is it not picking up on it? Okay. Let me try and fix that. Capture specific window. There. Cool. Okay, there we go. And now I'll put the text. Just saying that we're on a little break. I'm gonna go right back to it after. But how do I add text to it again? I mean, I know how. I just gotta find the window for this. Uh, where is the thing for text? Process source, display capture, yeah. Chat box is not what we want because that's a chat box. Alert box is not what we want. That's the alerts. Media categories would it be? No, because that's technically it's the same thing. Why can I not find where the chat is? I used to know where this is. They like updated it and moved. There it is. I found it. We'll call it break text. And it'll just be quick break will return to reading in, I'll say 15 to 20 minutes. Larger, larger, larger. Oh, good enough. And then we want like a background color for it. Maybe it's too bright, but yeah, there. This font also sucks. Let's change the font. Maybe this. Nope, that made it too large. I should have accounted for that. You know what? Good enough on that. I should also up the actual, hold on. Maybe it should just be like that. Easier to read. All right, boom. Okay, so going back to all this, uh, but yeah, I did really enjoy that. Again, I do really like how much they properly kind of like Tepe always kind of like conveys Emilia's building love in a very interesting way throughout the series. And I think that chapter had a really good continuation of Arc 9, or not Arc 9, of Arc 8 is what I want. Arc 8, where it's like, with that, she's like, oh yeah, I already know the person I'll fall for and everything. And then I forgot about what my ship looked like. Uh, where Arc 8 it's like that. And then Arc 9 now, she has this swelling, boiling, like, anger for Al, but it's not in the normal sense. It's in the sense of what happened to Subaru and all that, how she wants to see him again. So I do like that a lot. I just realized. Let's fix that. I just realized you guys had no audio of this. Luckily it was still early on, but actually hopefully this is not too loud. I should make sure of that. Maybe turn it down to here. I'll just have to remember that for next time. That should be good. Okay, let's try for that. You know how we can check this really easily? Watch. So I do this. I'm gonna do that. And then... Okay, yeah. See, I just quickly switched over so I would see what my audio is like. That is an aspect I really love of Amelia's character, much like, the recent thing with Ren was like kind of building, her like, essentially in a certain sense her return, but not really that. It's just, because it's the thing that many have pointed out, and I myself as well, like she's going to be an entirely new character, just, she'll still have some of her memories from before. But like, now, with all this in Arcade and everything, you can kind of see this slow return of her in a certain sense of like these similar feelings she's had before and all that, and I do like it a lot. I guess it was also in Arc 7, here and there. It's kind of been in both, just because it's the Volacchio stuff, but you know what I mean. In a similar sense to that, we have Amelia's building like emotions, which have been around longer, but that's something I really enjoy in that aspect of like constantly going further and further with that. Love it a lot every time it happens. Um, Definitely excited to see what this next chapter is going to have in store. In terms of just like, you know, Yae seems skilled, right? Because she's a shinobi, so she's going to have all sorts of shit on top of her friends, right? But she's fighting Wilhelm. And Wilhelm's a freak who's fought a lot. Like, yeah, he's an old dude by now. But he's fought a lot. He's had to deal with a lot. So anything could technically happen. And it does have me very curious on what's going to go on. So obviously that helps build incentive for like, oh, I'm excited to see what this next chapter will have. Trying to just like remember everything that's gone on with the chapter. So there's that stuff with Amelia. Obviously like Roy's tied up, so there's not too much to say about him. I do like, you know, we always get to see Otto's planning throughout these arcs. It's really great. And now we get to see it again with like, he even thought of, you know, to bring Wilhelm in as a chip and everything. And I like that a lot. This is good. This is real nice. I was trying to keep a timer for myself. Well, not timer, but like track of time. We can have a general idea for when we head back. I'll just keep it in my mind. Whoop. Where's the other dudes? There they are. I knew there was one up here. Oh, they're all up here. Okay. And then the last one's over there. Taken care of. Cool. I am very curious on the direction that this arc heads in, because it's like, right now we have a lot of big fights happening, but it's like, I can't tell what side is necessarily going to win, because the arc is like focused on Al in a certain sense, right? So it's like, who actually wins here? We don't know, but it's kind of like getting to that slow build-up of it is really fun. I do want to take a drink, but I'm also like, oh, you know, I'm in the middle of playing. Let's just quickly clear this one out. I'll have no problem. We'll watch the cutscene for the, like, you know, jumping on the ship is what we'll do. Oh, they're gonna ram into me. No, they aren't. That's good. And now... Ooh. They're charging. Oh wait, no, they're just saying to charge. Okay. Go to this one. Sick. Okay, on to the last ship. Okay, got it. Sick. There we go. Top in. Alright. Quick drink. I will say with this game, just because the Coliseum is like a little annoying, because of how much shit you have to do, I did like essentially look up what the best team was and just started using that. Outside of like, you know, having DLC. That is essentially what my team is now in this game. It's just the best team possible for your crew and all that. Over there. There we go. Check some stuff on my phone. Bum, ba, da, ba, dum, bum, 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 ba, dum. That's another victory. How much do I need to upgrade? Let me actually see, because I don't have every upgrade in the game yet. I'm missing a few. On the one hand, it's like, it's nice to do this, but on the other hand, I could do some more exploring, because I don't have every treasure and all that. And I think most of the ones I need are hidden. One of the ones is just doing all of this. Where am I going? I'm going over here. Technically can. Need more, like, what is it, fame, or whatever. That's what I need. And I don't remember good methods of doing that outside of getting treasure, which maybe then should be the absolute thing we go for, but it's not entirely necessary right now, so I'm not going to full focus it. A few more minutes till we switch off, I'll say. Because obviously, you know, it's getting like, I'm not going to say like super late, but it's getting to a point where it's like I probably should switch back soon. So, we'll switch back soon. We'll do another clash or two, and then we'll go to the Wilhelm chapter. Alright, time to go in. Ooh, that's gonna be potentially bad? No, we're okay. That was honestly kind of sick. That was some good damage. Ooh. Ooh, that was almost really scary. Well, actually, it's the lower difficulty one, so they probably don't hit as hard. But we're alright. Hit him with that shit. Ooh, they're already firing, huh? Okay. Twisted. Honestly, just head on. Aye, aye, Captain. Get on that ship. Oh yeah, you know, I just realized, I'm not gonna explain the joke, but the reason I look like this, for anybody curious, is, so that, you know, I have this on one style, and then, you know, this on the other. Very obvious joke in there. Ooh. Honestly, let's win with this style so it's on our end screen. Yeah. Where's the last guy? Kill him. I was about to use a heat move on him. There he is. A rank? Really? Did I not do Did I not do it fast enough? I guess I didn't. Fair enough. Shit. I mean, we just have to do them in, like, regardless. It's not, like, a specific rank, but... Damn. Guess I was kind of joking around there too much. Alright, one more. Then we switch back. Alright. Forward. Oh, this is when they have the mortar shots. Which is going to be a little more annoying later, because I mean, I have to like calculate how I'm moving. That was a really tight situation to be in. Again, they don't hit very hard on this difficulty, so it's like we're alright. But it definitely affects some things, like we might have to repair. Now luckily it's only one fight for these, which is nice, but... I kind of want to get rid of the smaller ships because those are usually what could be a little annoying. So... I didn't hit him there? Okay. Turn it. Put him head on. The really annoying, I'm going to say mortar shots, is when they just have like homing missiles. So you have to wait for those to get in really close and then drift correctly, and if you don't drift correctly, you get hit. And they do so much damage. Like, those are really annoying, and some of the, like, things in this is like, oh yeah, fight multiple of these dudes all in a row, and it can be real draining to deal with that shit. Honestly, let's do a heat move. Yo! Down we go, and then stab. You know, I'd almost say I wonder if we could do like a Subaru fit for Majima here, but I genuinely don't know if I could. I almost want to try that. But like, is there even a tracksuit sort of thing? Let me check. You know what? We're gonna try it. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time. Oh, I got one of my achievements with that. Sick. Um, let me check. Just very briefly. I want to see. I want to see if we could. It could be funny. Um, there is like hair that's kind of like styled back that we can choose. So like that technically works. Ah, see, I didn't want to get into a fight here. That's alright though, because they're a bunch of jobbers. And then that one we're gonna shoot. Alright. The place for where I stay, I think it's up here. I think, yeah, up here and there's a door. Let's see if we can. Try this one. So I have a few styles here and everything. I guess it would be more accurate to do here. That's the Luffy one. That's like the Ichiban one. Yeah, those are the... So we'll change this. It's whatever. Yes, and then... He wouldn't really be an undercut sort of thing, I don't think. Side part, this is more like Soma's style. You know, it's spiky. It's spiky, but it's on the, like, it's not fully slicked back, and that's kind of the issue. Whereas, like, this is fully slicked back, and that'd be correct, but then it's like... Honestly, the side part isn't, like, the worst. I feel like this is our best option, technically. Because his hair is, like, kind of just, like... Like, it is spiky, but I feel like this... I feel like it's not accurate to choose that. I feel like this is the most accurate we can get. That or this, and this doesn't seem that accurate either. I think we'll go with that. Eye patch, it can be whatever. He did technically have something like this in Arc 4. So... I guess that would be accurate. Does he have a specific... Hold on. What color are his eyes? I gotta remind myself. Because honestly, I don't fully remember. I'm just trying to see if we need to change that at all. Black and light novel, brown, yeah. Okay, so it's... Alright. Well, I mean, none of these are necessarily that. So... Base eye for Majima is fine. I don't think there's anything that really... I mean, I guess no sideburns. What's the... Oh, we would have to go to a container. For now, we'll put this. This will be more accurate, but... doesn't have earrings. At least, I mean, you know, that I know of. Is there a track? Because if there isn't a tracksuit, I mean, I guess we could do the Arc 6 outfit, but like... Technically, but that's just a jacket. Because we would just want a full-on tracksuit. Yagami's outfit almost works, but not really at the same time. I don't know, maybe I'm blind, but I don't know that there would be a tracksuit sort of thing. And I don't even know if we could do... Oh wait, actually... It doesn't have, like, the zipper in the middle, which is the unfortunate thing, but, like... Technically, it's correct. It'd be really cheap, but it might be the way we have to do it. I think that is, like, actually... Okay, this is gonna be, like, wait, this is gonna be how fast I gotta walk, like, Subaru. Oh, yeah, and it'd be one solid... I don't think this is gonna work, honestly. like, even this wouldn't work because there's no similar colors, even though it's not a... Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing, is there's a lot of combination stuff in this game, but, like, if you're trying to do something too specific as a joke, it might not work. Because, like, you know, all it would be is, like, we do something like, I mean, what's, like, just basic ass, like, it probably has track pants is probably what it is, honestly. There are no track pants sort of thing. Sweatpants, there. Maybe not that, maybe. And then it's just like, you know, he's got like running shoes or some shit. He's got his grippers out, you know. I think those are black. Let me reopen the wiki because I had that open to see. Yeah. So, like, you know, like, would you even be able to tell? I don't think you would, right? I don't think we can do this as best as we want, but like technically, that could be it. But yeah, also don't mind this one. This one is just, I have a few in here where it's just me being really silly. This is what I would usually use for that silly one. Like whenever I would stream it to friends, I would use this, and then for the other one I would stream to friends, I would use this one. And it's just a funny ass one to use. And then, you know, the One Piece sets, and then the actual ones I use of this one and this one, because this looks nice as fuck. I like how he looks here, but yeah, like I don't think we physically could make a Subaru here, which is unfortunate. But then again, there are. Oh wait, I didn't mean to. I thought that was talking about the sets. There are clothing sets that we could put on. I don't know if any would work necessarily, because I don't know what some of them look like. But potentially, they could be alright. I don't know. We'd have to see. Even then, you can't, like, put them on, or, like, put on more stuff for a set. So it's the unfortunate thing. If we could unlock it, doesn't change much, though. Let me just go over to that other area and save, so that next time we do this sort of thing, I'm just on the ready. Save. Yep. There. Sick. And back out we go. Okay. Friends. Let us finally do this. Let's get rid of the break text. Ooh, excuse me. Alright. I think I'll stand back up again. Because that, honestly, that was nice, as much as it's nice to sit. Alright. Back up we go. Just wanted to relax for a bit. No, wait, wrong one. I almost, you remember what I said last time about almost having the camera like get pulled? I almost did that. Ooh. Alright. Oof. We are good to go for another chapter. Let's do this. Let's get caught up. And then next time, so this is something I actually forgot to mention at the start, so I apologize for not mentioning this. I was really hoping, let me adjust the camera there because we moved it down before. I was really hoping that this chapter would be shorter. And it is, which I am thankful for. The reason as to why is that this is going to be a busy fucking week for me. All right. Tomorrow, you know, I'm going to relax, right? I do that every single time. I mean, we've only done this once before, but anytime we do this, I want the next day to be just a day where I relax, right? I do writing, I do drawing, whatever it may be. I keep things simple, and then we save the rest for the next day, whatever it may be. Simple enough, right? Easy enough to understand it and all that. But then, Thursday and Friday, I am busy, right? Boom. Immediately, not an option, right? I have shit I'm doing, along with the fact that I should keep my controller charging. I'm shit I'm doing, as well as those are going to be writing days for me. So when I'm already doing shit earlier that day, and then I have to write later on, not happening, right? Then Saturday, busy, going to watch a movie. Boom, instantly not an option. All right, cool. Uh, the Sunday after that, I'm pretty sure that is Mother's Day. So that is also not happening, right? That is essentially whole last week of reading is not happening. Right? I mean, technically speaking, I'll read, Berserk, I'll read Hoshin Enji, all that, no problem. Oh yeah, I can take this off now. I forgot about that. I'm gonna be like sweating even more, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I have my headphones on for fun. We can actually turn off the desktop now. That's all right. But yeah, so essentially, whole last week, fucking, there's no shot that I am streaming, right? Which pretty much means Monday is the next time we can do it. Now that's unfortunate because that pretty much means if we weren't doing this right now, we'd be fucked, right? Like it would just be like, well, okay, see you all Monday for this chapter, right? That's not what we're doing, luckily, and I'm thankful for that because I do want to read more. But it's a thing of like, if it was longer than the previous chapter, I was probably gonna call it there, and that would be it for the stream, right? Thankful it's shorter. That means we can still do this. That means we are a-okay. I will probably have to turn on a light at some point, but honestly, the light today, pretty good, pretty fucking good. I can't lie. This lighting, honestly, yeah, this is all right now. Yeah, look at this, right? Actually, opening that one made like this sort of area, like over here and over here, darker. I don't know if that was the right call, but I'm visible, so that's what matters, I guess. Okay, with all of that said, I think it is finally time to sit our asses down. Not really, I'm standing, and go through this. We're able to. I'm very thankful for that. Again, because we would have been fucked otherwise. That's all right. And like I said, like it seems like there was a shorter chapter that dropped. It might have been this one, so I could be off on that and everything. Very well could have been because I remember seeing that art on Twitter, and I don't remember if I saw that art when that shorter chapter dropped or limit whatever it was, or now. I can look into that myself. It's fine. Um, but still, next time does seem like a easier sort of moment to go through and everything. I could potentially wait because if it is a shorter chapter next, it might be better to do two in one, even if the one that comes after is long. It might just be better because would we really want a stream that's like less than an hour or something like that? Or like an hour at most? And then it's like, okay, bye guys. Right. But yeah. Okay. One more drink. One more drink. Let's get through this. Alrighty. Throw it down a little bit. Alright. An intense aura of swordsmanship hung over the chamber, and it was no joke that goosebumps erupted all over her skin. Her mind had been trained to remain unshaken by most situations, but even when considering circumstances in which the unexpected and unforeseen might occur in rapid succession, a scenario such as this would be considered an anomaly, demanding to be deemed as an exception. Wilhelm Trias, rolling the name that had been given around within her mouth. Yea, Tenzen quietly sharpened her vigilance. They had exchanged but a single clash, and yet her opponent's opening move had been slamming her with a kick, forcing Ye to find herself at a disadvantage. Even after she leapt backward to dampen the impact, the damage from that kick had left a heavy impression on Ye's slender frame. Had she not retreated, the force might have opened a shoe-sized hole in her stomach. He had delivered a kick to a woman without restraint. As he himself had claimed, he could not be called a gentleman. There was a worthy title for this old swordsman, which had been readied by the nation for more than 40 years, namely, Sword Demon San himself, gracing us with his presence here. To think I would meet such a legend myself. I'm so moved. That episode in which you avenged your late wife, it must truly be an honor to be the kingdom's sword, huh? Oh, but if I'm not mistaken, I heard you had an unexpected reunion with your wife afterward. Surely the events in the Watergate city must have been terribly painful for you, no? I can only imagine your anguish. Boo hoo. While observing her opponent's every move, Ye dabbed a finger at the corner of her eye in uh, pantomime of tear, uh, in a pantomime of tears. Uh, Beneath Ye's crimson gaze, the old swordsman, Wilhelm, stood dignified and unwavering, the two swords in his grip radiating a sharp aura as he met her stare. Within the calm light of those twin blue eyes, Ye understood that her attempts to unsettle her opponent by brazenly trampling on his heart had proven to be fruitless. She had merely succeeded in playing the role of a villainess. The image I had from what I've heard of you led me to believe you were a more passionate person, but apparently that impression had been unreliable. Given the source of this information had been none other than Heinkel, if even details regarding his own biological father lacked credibility, then what exactly could she expect of him? Frankly, it would not have been better to assign him to take care of, or it would have been better to assign him to take care of Felt rather than the dragon. And should Heinkel have allowed Felt to escape, then the pretext of eliminating her and cutting ties with Heinkel altogether would simultaneously hold ground. As for Ye's reasoning as to why she had thought such things, aside from the old village chief, there shouldn't be many people who were able to notice my presence, or my presence concealment. Feltsama, might you have done something mischievous? The hell kind of accusation is that? Full well, I've not been able to lift a single. Uh, my brain right now is like fucked. I've not been able to lift a finger, you bastard. Besides talking to your sorry ass, I haven't done anything. Right now, that's taking up all my effort. With a hint of self resentment in her voice, Felt spat thus as she retreated to a corner of the room. When it came to feigning anger, she was not the type to be adept. If she truly possessed the refined acting skills to modulate even her vocal tremors, then such a masterful deception would truly be one worthy of awe. Go down a bit. Ooh, boop. Oh, the sun's coming back up, and it's like right on my controller and everything. Maybe we just do this again. The sun is in a like kind of bad spot for all this, so honestly, let me just. I'll also move my headphones over here. Might be better. Should I turn them off? Put them down. That's all right. All right. Therefore, Ye giving a subtle tug on the steel thread around Felt's neck, just enough to make her aware of its presence. Please don't think anything about running away, okay? I'd hate to make Felt Summer's adorable head bid a tearful farewell to her torso. That's another kick your ass is getting, and it's not for me to say, but what? I don't think you have the time to be looking away, now do you, you bastard? Felt stuck out her tongue with a blunt bleh, and the axe's lack of charm was itself cute. But Ye did not need a reminder, as she had never once let her guard down against Wilhelm. He remained rooted in his original position, unable to determine how to respond to Ye's unfamiliar steel thread technique. Such was only natural. Most shinobi techniques specialized in exploiting an enemy's openings. That was why, unlike the fighting techniques of warriors utilized in battle, the techniques of the shinobi utilized for killing were called jutsu. Ye's steel thread technique is a prime example of that distinction. The more veteran the warrior, the more cautiously they approach combat. Meanwhile, the true skill of a shinobi lay in setting trap upon trap, like the web of a spider, 10 layers, then 20, until 4 moves. What was that? Suddenly, Ye furrowed her brow, unable to comprehend the words born from Wilhelm's lip. To Ye's query, Wilhelm offered no verbal reply. But there was a response. His eyes narrowed slightly, and a piercing aura of swordsmanship was released, cleaving through Ye's entire body as an answer. The moment she sensed the incoming attack, Ye mobilized all 10 of her fingers without hesitation. But rather than attack to subdue, she rained slaughter upon the sword demon with her steel threads. So long as So long as Al's order not to kill was kept in the end, it would be fine. It would be preferable for her opponent to survive when the intention was to kill. But if an attack was unleashed without the exception to kill, would it work on this adversary? Let me take a quick drink. Alrighty, get back to it. Down a bit. There we go. Thus, from all directions, first subdividing into 16, then further into 32, was launched an overwhelming assault of steel threads, each new strand finer than the last in response. The twin blades in Wilhelm's grip flashed. Whoa! The whirlwind, raised by the swing of the twin swords, quite literally swept aside the approaching murderous steel threads of carnage. The extreme speed of the sword's movement caused the collision between the blade and thread to be heard in unison, generating sparks that gave Ye the illusion that her eyes were being seared. Though her initial strike had been neutralized by the overwhelming force of the sword, I was about to be like thousand, her steel thread technique remained uninterrupted. Slackening the steel threads emitted from her rings, she readied an assault of even further segmented threads. In that moment, the floor of the room was cleaved upward before Ye's eyes. That which rose was a portion of the floor that had been slashed and stepped upon, lifting its face. The size of this floor rivaled that of a luxurious bed, blotting Wilhelm from Ye's sight. With a thud and a forceful step, the floor was kicked, launching it straight toward Ye. Within the confined space of the room, there were no gaps she could use to escape. Therefore, using her left hand, Ye adjusted the angles of the steel threads she manipulated to combat the incoming floor. However, rather than slicing it, she instead bound it, deflecting it with a bounce. The floor recoiled with full momentum of the initial kick, returning along its trajectory with even greater speed and danger, barreling toward the sword demon with the aim to blast him away. But then, huh? Go down. Boop. A sharp piercing sound resonated, and Ye's eyes widened upon the sight of the floor being pinned midair. Its momentum had accelerated, its force doubling in proportion to its weight. Yet the sword demon's blade struck the rebellion of the floor in the dead center of its mass, its tip aligned to the surface with surgical precision, voiding all of its power. It was truly a divine feat that transcended what mortal hands could accomplish. Ye, too, understood this, having spent a great deal of time being hailed as a child prodigy beyond the limits of ordinary humans. Even in his old age, the sword demon's swordship was planted in the realm of the divine. Free moves. Within the vision of the breathless Ye, Wilhelm murmured so from beyond the floor, which was still suspended in the air. Hidden behind the floor of modest width and ample height, Wilhelm remained beyond Ye's sight. Oh, that's a nice rhyme. Yet the true advantage of her steel threads lay in their capability to land strikes that would not otherwise land, in places she could not otherwise see. She made her threads snake around the floor, forcing the sword demon on the other side to move to either the left or right. Yet, no matter which side he chose, left or right, the threads would be awaiting him. Immediately afterwards, piercing through the suspended floor, the tip of the sword approached Ye's nose. The timbre of steel, striking steel, resounded, and the sword launched at a velocity which rivaled even the most tightly drawn bow. The sword that had been thrusted into the floor to stop it was struck from behind, causing the floor to be penetrated by the sword. This far exceeded her expectations. Faced now with a projectile that defied all norms, Ye abandoned any attempt to entangle the sword with her threads, and instead slightly deflected it as she tilted her slender neck just enough to avoid a fatal strike. The tip of the blade passed right by her throat before it was lodged into the wall beside Ye with a thunk. Let's go down. Ooh, there's the arrow already. She had dodged it, and even in the fleeting moment, Ye never once averted her eyes from the sword demon. And so, in the same breath, she recognized that she had a tactical misstep. The sword had been buried deeply, sticking out just to the right of Ye's neck. Her only means of escape was to the left, and thereupon Raw! Using the floor as a springboard, the sword demon then kicked off the ceiling to accelerate, descending with a slashing strike. The blade executed a seamless monk's robe cut, aiming for Ye's very life as his blade carved deeply into her left shoulder. Sick. Oh damn, that is really good. Ooh, that's nice. Now that we're on a new section, let me take a drink. This is cool so far, though. I like, again, despite his old age, Wilhelm's going fucking crazy. I said it before while we were on break. I said this sort of thing would potentially might happen, and you know what I mean? Oh, what happened? What the fuck happened? Bros? Hold up. Give me 1 second. Huh? What do you mean? What do we mean? Okay. I don't know when it paused. Apologies for that. But, yeah, okay, it's all good here. I don't know what the fuck happened there. It's weird. It's been occasionally like lagging every so often, right? Not every so often, but like occasional streams here and there have been like lagging in terms of it. I went on break earlier, right? When I went on BRB, and I went downstairs to go fill up some more water. Ooh, excuse me. All of a sudden, it was lagging the fuck out. Like I was doing this, and it was like occasionally like I'd be here, then I'd be here, then I'd be here, right? I was just doing that for fun, but at the same time, I realized like, why the fuck is it lagging, right? And then I put it back on this, like afterwards. Well, it was still lagging, and it was just fine. But for some reason, the camera itself was lagging, and then there it just paused out of nowhere. I don't know why. I don't know what causes that, but maybe I should like put it if I put the camera or like OBS on a different, sort of thing. Maybe that'll fix it. I don't know. Uh, okay, well, one more drink because I could kind of feel it in my throat. So just to make sure. Okay, let's go. Wilhelm van Estrella, no, Wilhelm Trias had been sojourning in the royal capital, seeking a way to heal his master, Krush Karsten. In the midst of battle against the witch cult that had unfolded throughout the Watergate city of Pristella, the Sin Archbishop of Lust had poured a wicked poison into Krush, corroding her body and soul. She had continued to suffer through such accursed agony. Even the kingdom's greatest healer, the very one bearing the title Blue, Pyrrhus, had been facing the hardship of his inability to alleviate her suffering, nor had any ray of hope emerged for some time. There had been no dramatic improvements in Crush's condition, only a means that opened up new possibilities. A path to the Pleiades watchtower had been paved. Tidings of such had arrived. Were they to borrow the power of the sage Shaula, one of the three great heroes of the kingdom of Lagunica, rumored to be omnipotent and omnipotent, uh, you know, perhaps they might find a way to liberate Krush, like omnipotent, but I fucked it up. I'm gonna accept my own embarrassing mistake. To liberate Krush from the malevolent poison afflicting her. If it's to save Krush, oh, sorry, I DM'd about something. If it's to save Krush Sama, then don't we have to do whatever it takes, no matter what that might be? As desperation drove Pyrrhus to cling to that news, Wilhelm possessed no words to admonish him. Having been robbed of her memories at the hands of the witch cult a year prior, Krush had been left as a largely changed person, and it was Pyrrhus who had devotedly supported and assisted her. Pyrrhus himself must have experienced hellish agony and confusion as he attempted to rebuild his relationship with Krush from scratch. After nearly a year of suffering, a bond of mutual trust had been finally formed between the two of them. A bond different to how it was before, but still unshakable in spite of the difference. It happened right around when that bond had been formed. That was when the Sin Archbishop of Lust, Capella Emerata Lugunica, utterly wrecked it. The following suffering that Krush went through was as had been described prior, but the pitifulness of Pyrrhus as he nestled to her side was an exceedingly painful sight to behold. A little bit more. That was why when she had heard Subaru's group, uh, or when they had heard Subaru's group citing, I'm off right now. I'm like, oh, I gotta check that DM, but like, let me just. Okay, that is a whole ass. Oh wait, that was a GIF actually. Um, that was why, when they had heard that Subaru's group, sights set on Pleiades Watchtower, had succeeded in reaching it, a fire of hope was ignited within Wilhelm and the rest, more acutely than any of them had anticipated. Although it was disconcerting that Subaru's group had not relayed that information directly, there was no way to dig deeper into the movements of the other camps. However, he had heard that a trial run was being conducted in order to ensure that visiting the tower could be done reliably. Unable to sit by idly any longer, Wilhelm and Fierce made their way to the royal capital in order to ascertain success or failure in that expedition, and, if possible, request to join the group bound for the tower. Then, in a room inside the royal mansion, reserved only for dignitaries to stay, there is a matter I wish to share with you, and it is something I would like to ask your assistance with. So the young man, bearing the role of internal affairs minister within the Amelia camp, delivered to Wilhelm a summation of the catastrophe poised to shake the kingdom's very foundations, along with the names of two of the individuals who served as Wilhelm's reasons to take up the sword. Make sure the camera's good now. Camera's good. Okay. Drink. Yeah. I'm already running out of this, but that might mean we're doing okay. Or it might mean I'm drinking a lot. Either one. Raw! Blasting off the ceiling, he delivered a devastating shoulder to hip arc to the red haired girl, nay, to the masterful shinobi. The impossibly fine, thread like weapons proved to be lethally versatile. He scattered their oncoming threat through erratic trajectories. Such was the result of seeking a swift and decisive end to the bout. For every second the conflict raged on would only multiply the chances of being caught off guard. With a single brutal motion, the blade bit into her left shoulder and carefully or carved diagonally across her torso, bisecting her very life with a monk's robe cut, or so it should have. It's a clone or some shit. In an instant, the girl's body sank into the floor as she gritted her teeth. No, she had not sunk. Shredded to smithereens by the threads, the floor itself had come apart. Then the girl's body plunged into the basement ahead of Wilhelm, to which he gave pursuit. Promptly extending his arm out, he wrenched out the sword that he had mobilized the girl from the wall, securing his twin blades. Though he had failed to sever the girl's left shoulder, there was no mistaking that the wound was deep. What was truly formidable about Shinobi was their vanishing act. The moment they slipped sight, they became 5 or even 10 times as troublesome as they had been visible. All this to say, this is where I take you down. And without prior rehearsal, Wilhelm and the girl's voices had overlapped. As Wilhelm plunged into the gaping maw of darkness below, for but a moment he caught sight of a glimmering filaments reflected by the light shining through the darkness. The pit leading underground bristled with murderous threads, spun like a spiderweb. See, what concerns me here, Wilhelm a little bit, is she's now being described as girl. So it's like, fuck's that about, right? That implies some things. As someone who has been very inspired by this sort of writing style, that implies some things. That really implies some things. As she fell backward toward the basement, Ye bound her left shoulder to with her steel threads to stop the bleeding. Okay, so it is Ye, but maybe not. She admitted that the blade had penetrated deep within her maidenly soft skin, yet the chastity of her life remained intact. So she refused to accept her loss, and at the same time marveled at the terrifying swordsmanship of the sword demon. The first move defended against Ye's steel thread. The second move kicked away the floor he had cut up. The third move seized the floor she had sent flying back. The fourth move slashed at her with the sword that had pierced through it. Just as he had declared at the outset, she was about to be killed in four moves. All these pesky old men. The first elderly man that came to mind was the vicious old man who had the worst possible personality and was the closest to it, followed by the elderly giant who had tormented Al on the plains until he was on the verge of defeat. Finally, the sword demon, an elderly man who had reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship despite his age. All of these elderly men were people who did not know how to grow old peacefully. To begin with, it was the way of the world that one's life could be extinguished at any moment. Nevertheless, the fact that they were still alive at such an old age meant that they had survived natural selection. That's why old folks are so damn terrifying. If you think old folks are weak and fragile, you'll end up dying before you even get old yourself. Well, I'm kind of an exception to an exception, since I'm just such a. Oh, wait, I realize it's Olbart. Since I'm such a long lived shinobi. But still. Her cheeks twitched as she was reminded of the loud laughter of the village chief, who had lived and survived a particularly harsh life. The ultimate technique of a shinobi was to steal one's opponent's attention, cloud their mind, immobilize them, and take their life. Ye was an excellent student in the art of clouding the mind, but she knew that she was no match for the chief's years of experience. Ye believed that she was properly not that twisted, nor did she anticipate living long enough to become so. In fact, Al nearly killed her once before. She had no except oh, she had no exception that her good fortune would continue. After all, the whims of a kind monster were nothing more than a miracle. Wilhelm chased after Ye as she fell, pulled the sword from the wall, and dropped down into the hole as well. As the sword demon moved with confidence that appeared to be born from actual combat experience against a shinobi, presumably shinobi deployed by the Wallachian Empire in the past, she held unending resentment towards her shinobi predecessors who had failed to kill Wilhelm then. Ye took a single breath and exhaled. With that, a switch flipped inside her with a click, and her field of vision expanded, allowing her to see as clearly in the darkness of the basement as if she were standing in the brightness of daylight. This was the result of training to become accustomed to the darkness of night, a type of physical manipulation that altered her blood flow around the eyeballs to adjust vision. As the white figure of the sword demon emerged within her now gray field of vision, Ye spread her arms wide, as if finally bringing him into her own realm of expertise. This is where I take you down. They both uttered the same words in unison, but there was neither a smile nor a feeling of surprise on either side. They resolved to kill each other. Since mental attacks were deemed futile, they abandoned all techniques designed to disrupt the mind, focused solely on reaching the opponent's life with sincere determination. This was the location Ye had prepared for that purpose, the Crimson Sakura's killing field. The underground passage in the burial mansion was not something Priscilla had built when she had renovated the mansion, but rather a remnant left behind by the legacy of the original owner, Leap Burial. Priscilla's late husband was said to have been plagued with pathological distrust and paranoia, and had made preparations for any eventuality, not only in the mansion he had built in the royal capital, but also in other residences and hideouts within his domain. This hole that led to the basement was also one of those preparations. It had been originally intended as a secret escape route, but Ye had destroyed it beforehand because it could have been used as an entry point for enemies, leaving only the deep hole that continued underground. Ye had never met Leap, and felt nothing but disgust and contempt at him for forcibly marrying such a young and beautiful wife like Priscilla, and then trying to use her as a puppet to control the country's government. However, she sympathized with Leap's attitude of wanting to be prepared for any potential disaster, and was grateful to take the advantage of the opportunity he had inadvertently given to her. A gallows for slaughter, where she could string up her seal threads, and only Ye could move around as she pleased. She had infiltrated the royal capital in order to, if such a time were to come, assist Al. She had kept Felt, brought along so that she would be under surveillance in that room so it would serve its purpose in such an emergency. Like I fucked up there. That was why, from here on out, no more holding back. Having said that, Ye bent her knees in order to smoothly slip off her shoes, extended her toes wrapped in black stockings, spread the toes of both feet, and shoot out steel threads from rings fitted to each of them. Yeah, I was gonna say she probably has them on the feet as well. Literally without mercy or restraint, skillfully manipulating all 20 digits of her hands and feet, Ye Tenzen's masterful killing technique rampaged in the darkness. Both sides sought a swift victory. Quick drink. Wait, one more. There's a short one. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Ooh, we are going through that. As she fell, Ye hooked her knee around one of her threads she had spun, stopping the momentum of her descent and reversing her direction, utilizing the tension of the thread within the large, well-like cylindrical pit, and she sprung up and began her attack. With the agility of an acrobat, Ye danced like petals twirling in the wind. Ye's graceful dance was accompanied by steel threads that lured those entranced by their beauty to their depths, and around her the blood of those whom she danced upon blossomed like flowers, hence the name Crimson Sakura. These were beautiful yet cruel red cherry blossoms that bloomed in all their glory by feasting upon the blood flowing from those fallen corpses. The ferocity that earned itself its nickname was wielded without mercy, and Wilhelm's entire body, left free to fall, was torn apart, his well-tailored clothes torn apart, his flesh and blood scattering into the wind. As she fell, Ye's hair was blown back by the wind. There's no way like he is like just straight up gone. Like he's probably just injured, but there's no way the fight's ending there, right? Astonished by the intensity of the sword demon's gaze. Unlike her steel threads, the swords couldn't only reach as far as the arm wielding it. Therefore, on the gallows she had set up, Wilhelm had no choice but to focus on defense. Naturally, with Wilhelm pulled by gravity and thus restricted, Ye, who could move freely in the darkness with the help of her threads, would never approach him. Maintaining a safe middle distance where his sword could not reach no matter what, she unilaterally she continued her attacks with her steel threads. Before the dance was finished, before the sword demon reached the ground and regained his freedom, Ye calmly raised her arm. Blood spurted forth. Ye's slender legs smoothly traced the wall in midair. Blood flirted forth. Ye's slender body twisted and contorted to its limit. Blood sprouted forth. It's sprouted, it's not splurted. I thought it was splurted. It sprouted. As Ye's dance approached completion, the sword demon was stained with his own blood, unable to completely defend against the relentless barrage of steel threads. The sharp steel threads carved wounds into his legs, torso, shoulders, neck, cheeks, and forehead, and the sword demon was lured towards death as he bled. However, what unpleasant eyes! His eyes, filled with a terrifying, serene aura of swordsmanship, did not dull his will to fight one bit. In addition to the steel threads wielded by both Ye's feet and Ye's hands and feet, there were also threads she had already spread throughout the basement. It went without saying, but if one were to inadvertently touch the taut string with their arm or leg while being preoccupied with Ye's actions, that limb would be lost. If one's neck or torso were to come in contact with it, one would simply lose their life. For Wilhelm, this deep pit was now like the jaws of a witch beast he had jumped into without thinking. He did that before! His flesh being torn by its teeth, his tongue lapping up his blood, and finally dropping into its stomach to dissolve his life. Yet his eyes were not those of one who pointlessly resisted in despair. Again, like, he fucking went into the belly of a witch beast and cut that shit open. Right? He's done this before. I know it's not an actual one, but you know what I mean, right? Excuse me. But there's not much you can do, is there? Even without that look in his eyes, Ye did not underestimate the sword demon enough to believe that this was the end. She had long since dismissed Heinkel's assessment of Wilhelm as unreliable and evaluated him based on what she had seen with her own eyes and the struggle for life and death. Therefore, as the sword demon fell helplessly, she was prepared for two attacks, One was a kick off the wall of the hole and deliver a sword strike equivalent to that of the one that knocked Ye underground. The other was to throw his sword at Ye's vital points, just as he'd done above ground. Whichever of the two options was chosen, the decision had to be made in the blink of an eye. Immediately after, her extended, black-clad feet drew a circle and inflicted 3 wounds on Wilhelm's cheek. He swung his dual sword straight down and repelled the steel threads. The sword demon's strong legs moved back rhythmically, and he planted his soles against the wall. With the sword demon's knees slightly bent, he gathered enough strength in his legs to launch himself through the air. At that last moment, he swung his arms, and launched the 2 swords, surging towards Ye's life. 2 steel streaks flashing through the air. Ye dodged them with a series of dance-like movements. Using the stretch threads as a foothold, she performed a somersault, the blade just barely passing between her thighs and the curve of her back, and emerged unscathed. Then struck the sword demon, who flew after his blades with the steel threads attached to her feet. With both of his swords gone and no way to defend himself against the steel threads, Wilhelm twisted his body and shielded his head, escaping the web of threads with minimal damage. However, Ye was already out of the way. An unarmed sword demon could not reach her as she rebounded the threads and escaped. With that, both threats that she had been wary of were successfully averted, but it was still too early to breathe a sigh of relief. Oh! Wilhelm had kicked the wall, missing Ye, and landed on the opposite side of the cylindrical pit. There, the twin blades he had thrown were stuck in the wall. Wilhelm grabbed them and kicked the wall again. Wilhelm pursued Ye, who had escaped diagonally upward, and took a path upward with the speed of a bullet. He leaped forward, kicked off the opposite wall, and flew toward the other wall. Repeating this over and over, he quickly caught up with Ye, who was rising upwards in a dance-like motion. You've got to be kidding me! Ye's throat trembled in shock as Wilhelm pursued her with all of his might. He kicked the wall and ascended using a free step jump. That was not surprising. Ye could do the same. What was unexpected was that Wilhelm was repeating this in place where Ye's hands had been stretched out countless of her steel threads. Naturally, if he flew without taking the time to check his surroundings carefully, there was a risk that he would hit a thread and be torn to pieces. However, Wilhelm was not afraid. Why? Because when he had fallen through that space once before, he had noticed that there were threads where the threads were, and he jumped up so as to not hit them. That was his terrifying way of fighting, possessed of both an exceptionally keen sense of combat and powers of observation, as well as an unwavering determination to risk his life based on what he saw with his own eyes. As the sword demon fluttered and dived boldly into the storm of silver threads, Ye had no choice but to reach for her trump card. Ooh, yeah! Building momentum with her threads, Ye sprang high up, and reversing her stance, she extended all her arms and legs. She let loose steel threads from all 20 digits, entwined them with threads she had previously placed, and drew in all 4 limbs. Ye's masterful steel thread technique utilized entwining threads in the surrounding objects, and was even capable of binding over 100 ruffians at once in forest combat. Taking that into account, Ye exerted all of her strength to the point that it felt like all of the muscles and bones within her body would be torn asunder, and simultaneously pulled all the steel threads tight. That instant, within the cylindrical hole that led underground, the torn steel threads ran amok. With a mechanism similar to that of cutting a sausage with a string, every fucking time Tepe has to make it like meat cutting reference. Ye utilized the tensile strength of the strained steel wires being torn to completely and utterly ravage the space, a thread-rendering onslaught of trajectory and magnitude that not even Ye herself could read. Furthermore, thereupon, a capable maid always goes the extra mile. Let's go down a bit. Witnessing the space below her crushed by the innumerable thread attacks, Ye brought the rings on both of her hands to her mouth, kissing them. Immediately after, tongues of flame licked down the threads extending from the rings, and after a beat, the infernal flames exploded. In addition to the berserking threads, a scorching hellfire that burned all to naught. Playing 2 of her trump cards, Ye's merciless shinobi techniques engulfed the sword demon in a crimson radiance, scorching him to a crisp. As expected, unable to uphold the policy of not killing anybody, Ye found the result of this combat rather vexing. But it was something she had fought the moment it began. He is not dead. He is gonna come through and cleave you in half. You should get the fuck out of there. Uh, this was not an opponent who could be defeated without going for the kill. Only by fighting with the intent to kill would one have the choice between survival or demise. That was the sort of opponent this man was. For that reason, let's keep this a secret from Hanko-sama. That will be fine. He too had better know. No, he too had better know that I am coming. That instant, the sword even burst through the explosive inferno. The glint of his blade slashing through to caress. Yeah, it was caress. Okay, I had to make sure to caress Ye midair. Ugh. Torso scythed by the flash of the honed sword. Ye spurred blood to Helix in a manner different to her usual dance as she revolved through the air, having been unable to disperse the might of the blow. As eyes widened, she groaned in confusion regarding what had just occurred. That which had occurred was clear. The enemy had survived both the tempest of steel threads tempest, oh, and the explosive flames that had followed. The question was, how in the world had he done it? Wilhelm's final leap had been straight upward, much like the trajectory of his previous leaps, where he had kicked off the wall and flew diagonally. Thus, in order to achieve such a leap within the pit, he would have no choice but to use the same method as Ye, using the steel threads as a foothold and jumping. How did you... My threads? You demonstrated it many a time. Your threads are terrifyingly sharp weapons, but with a specific angle and application of force, they can be used to bind without cutting. Wilhelm's answer was accurate, having fully seen through the properties of Ye's steel thread. What was strange was that he had seen through it in such a short time while amidst the heat of battle, and that he had not hesitated in his decision to risk his life on something for which he possessed no definitive evidence. Another baffling matter was, then, the fire? I cut it. Bars. That's good. That's a hold on. I need one more drink. I need one more drink with that. That was good. Bro, he didn't say a single other word. He said I cut it. Like fuck logic, fuck reason, fuck anything like that. You know, oh, you lit your threads on fire and then caused this big explosion? I cut it. I just like, Arc 8 made me like put Al in my top 10. Do I gotta move him down again? Because, like, all of this arc has been, like, fantastic for him. But then you hit me with I cut it for Wilhelm. Like, this sick ass fight. Let's keep going. Bro, we're probably near the end. Yeah, no, we are literally at the end. Oh my god, that looks sick. Receiving a terribly blunt answer to which nothing could be argued, Ye breathed an exasperated sigh. In all likelihood, he was telling no fib. The response had simply been that bold. While accepting that, Ye simultaneously suddenly recalled some words from a corner of her mind. Words that Ye had once dismissed as useless and thrown away. My father is strong, to an absurd degree. You and the Aldebaran guy might be pretty capable yourselves, but still, it's my father who scares me more. That's what's known as the sword demon. It aggravated her to full throttle, but Heinkel's assessment was accurate. Ye could not recognize him as being stronger or scarier than Al, but he was at least more terrifying than she was. At this moment, Ye Tenzin made a miscalculation in her assessment. That was the fact that she estimated that the credibility of information to be around half accurate based on Heinkel's opinion. And above all, the fact that since the battle against the White Whale, the subjugation of Sloth, and the siege of the Watergate City, all of which Ye had investigated, Wilhelm's skills had only continued to be honed. This was something Ye had no means of knowing, but he was once again reaching the levels he had achieved during the prime of his active duty, the age in which he had defeated the Sword Saint. Ergo, the battle that had commenced at the burial villa between the Crimson Sakura and the Sword Demon. Zwa! thwarting the completion of her dance with a flash of its blade. Sword Demon, having stained the Sakura of Crimson with blood, was thus declared the victor. Good ass. Ooh, sick as fuck. Well, yeah. So sick as fuck art. Uh, also, I mean, I guess there goes yay. I guess that's it. Bye, yay. I hope you enjoyed living. Damn. I mean, like, okay. To be fair, we're at the third volume, right? We're at the third volume. Heinkel and the Divine Dragon are still around. Like, Volcanica is still around. Uh, Roy is now in play, right? Like, as much as all these people are fighting Al and his group, it's kind of the thing of like, we're at the third volume. Typically, if we go off of these, right, let's not account for arc 7, right? Let's not account for arc 7 here. If we go off of these, they are typically 5 to 6 volumes, right? Um, I hope I still sound good from here, but like arc 3, right? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6, right? Uh, wow, it is 6. I never noticed that fully. Arc 4, also 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But then you get to arc 5. That's 1, 2, 3, or no, sorry, 1, 2, 3. What's the first? Yeah, that's the third one. 3 and 4, 5. I don't have the fifth volume here because brother still hasn't finished it yet. He'll get to it. Uh, this like literally this Thursday he'll get to it. But that's one of them. And then Arc 6, right? Now Arc 6 has a long last volume, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all that, right? So typically it's 5 to 6 volumes for these sort of like just arcs in general. Arc 7 was a weird exception there. Even Arc 8 was 5 volumes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Arc 5 or Arc 8 was. I was about to be like Arc 5. Yeah, no, I know Arc 5 was. Um but yeah, so technically it makes sense to have like this shocking development in there where it's like, oh yep, there goes one of the threats, right? But it is crazy that this has happened this early. Like, damn. I guess it doesn't necessarily. I guess it doesn't necessarily like specify that she's outright dead. It just says he's the victor. They could have kept her alive for the sake of like he could have hit her with that shit, but didn't necessarily like go for the kill fully to potentially interrogate more. I don't know. But also they do imply they're both going for the kill early on. So I'm just gonna assume this is fairly accurate. She's probably dead. Right? Let me go like that art. All this art is sick in this chapter. That's a lot to like. But we will go like it. Oh wait, that's Amelia. I thought I was getting hit with a spoiler though. That's just Amelia. Alright. That's another like. And that's another like. Beautiful. Yeah, I probably didn't see that one in my feed because I that one has like Arc 9 muted, so boom. Doesn't show up. Okay, that was good. That was a really fun fight chapter. You might have noticed in there a lot of the time I was not taking a drink, right? I was reading through. I shouldn't I should have been. But like I was sitting there just reading through and just not taking a drink. That was good. That didn't even like take us that long. That took us like an hour, right? I was so fucking entranced by that with no breaks, no nothing. That was good. Might help that I mean, Kobe did leave the room, but you know, he wasn't taking up that much of our time. Mm, that's good. With that, we're caught up. Sick. So yeah, next time we do this, again, great chapters today. Again, this is making me love Arc 9. Like, but before I actually go on with that thought, um, this shit's making me love Arc 9. I mentioned it before in the review and the previous stream and all this. Arc 9 could become better than Arc 5 for me. I firmly believe that. This stuff is crazy, right? And we're only on the third volume, right? So there's a lot to unpack already. I am curious to see what the fuck's gonna go on with Al and the stuff with Roy and everything like that. But it's like, man, there's a lot happening here. There's a lot for me to enjoy. Ooh, excuse me. I'm having a great time. This is a This is good. This is really good. Oh, this is nice. I'm enjoying this arc a lot. I think here's what I'm gonna say. I think definitively right now, right? This could always change because I was enjoying arc 7 a fuck ton, and then they did the side story bullshit with Amelia, and I that made me like get a bit upset. And then the other volume happened in there, like 2 volumes later, and that got me a bit upset. But I will say definitively right now, this is probably going to be like the third highest arc, right? I gotta figure out if it's higher than arc 5 by the point that we get to the like end of it and everything, right? Obviously, then that's a different matter. But I think right now, this is higher than every previous arc. This has me very excited. That can always change because again, I mentioned the same thing about arc 7, right? But I also said the same thing about arc 8. And you know what happened with arc 8? It ended up that high, right? Because I had barely any complaints. So with this, I think it could be very high. It could be higher than Arc 8. It could be potentially higher than Arc 5. We just got to see, right? This was good, though. This was really good. I do want to double check right now. I'm going to open this up. I want to double check something regarding chapters and all that, right? So I'm going to look at all these. So that's the new one that dropped. So I'm going to count each that came out. So let me make sure I go up high enough. So yeah, that was okay. So that was the original chapter here. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're on 26. So this is the announcement for chapter 4, or not chapter 4, chapter 4. The first chapter, chapter 24. Then there was another one after that. That was the one we previously read. That was chapter 25. This was chapter 26. That's so there's chapter 27 and chapter 28. So 27 and 28 are out. Okay. So 27, 28, that's what remains in terms of like translations and all that. The next one looks longer. Next one looks longer than the previous two. That might be a stream, which is good, right? Like just single stream itself, which is good because that'll be on Monday, right? So we have time until that comes out, and then we also have time in terms of just all this sort of shit of just like, okay, when Monday comes around, we do a decently big stream, all that. It does mean that the one right after, being as short as it is, because it's much shorter than this, means it's debatable on like, do we make that a stream? Do we save it for another one? I don't know. We'll figure that out, right? Maybe we do it the same stream if I'm feeling up for it, but I might want to take a big break because that's an even longer chapter again. Maybe. I don't know. It's honestly it's starting to get like hot out at this point, so I might start doing some shorter streams. Maybe we do them chapter by chapter. That'd be all right. Um I don't know. But okay, we have 2 left on the way. Good to note. We'll probably be back. Okay. I'm gonna say we'll probably be back Monday, but that depends on translations and everything. Obviously, teams should take their time with it. I'm all for that. I'm just noting if it does come out, around that time, we'll probably be back Monday. I'm gonna end off there though. There's not much else to say. I'm just I'm pretty much tired at this point. My voice has been put through the ringer. My voice has been put through the ringer. It has been a tough stream. Not really. Well, technically, I was doing that stuff with Wilhelm. I mentioned where I was just reading, not drinking. So it's nice though. We finished way earlier than normally. Like I was gonna start at 1. Think of it this way: I was gonna start at 1. We would have been finished at like 4 p.m. EST. That would have been great, right? But even now, like I'm finished at like close to 7. Dude, last time we finished at 8, right? Like last time we finished at 8 p.m. I'm glad that we got to finish like 2 hours prior. That's good. I'm really glad about that. Mm. Hopefully next time on Monday, we do start at like 1 or 2, and then that chapter gets us to like 5 or something. So it's like, yeah, I got all the time in the world. Honestly, you know what I would not be opposed to do at all? I was playing Pirate Yakuza earlier to just do the break sort of thing. I think what I would love to do, honestly, just for fun, is I could work on teasers for this. Like I just draw on stream. Because I mean, if I show teasers ahead of time, like okay, because let's be real here for a second. I'm gonna use one of these art links to just get to my Twitter really easily. Uh, don't care. I go to my media tab. It should be around here. Like, I mentioned this. Can it stop promoting that shit? I mentioned this. Right, I posted about this. I'm not supposed to post this, technically. Like, this is supposed to be a teaser image. I'm gonna be straight with all of you. This is supposed to be a teaser image. So all of you get Fogel early. And why is Fogel there? I'm not gonna say. Right, I'm not saying a damn word. I'm just saying she's there. And yeah, I'll get to her later on that teaser image. But hers is ready. But I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I could just do that, right? I could just do that for these streams and everything. And it's just like, yeah, I want to go on break and just talk about stuff. We just fucking use that. I'll probably do that from now on. Anyways, because yeah, at this point, Act 2 is going to be done especially, right, in terms of writing. So, like by Monday, probably it will be done in terms of writing. So, you know, we'll be ready for it. All right. That said, I'm gonna end off because again, I have to do writing after and everything. But that's okay. Right, we're almost done. It's great. And this was some great stuff to be streaming. I am also very sweaty and could use a shower, and that's exactly what I'm gonna honestly do. So, with that said, thank you all for joining in. We will be back probably Monday, but like it all depends on chapter release and all that. Whenever the chapter releases, or Monday, right? We'll see. Uh, but I guess technically I should have said whenever the chapter releases as the second one. You know what I mean? But yeah, take care. Have yourselves a great night. Take care of. Keep yourself safe, is what I meant. Not in that way, but stay safe, is what I mean. Wrong usage of words that has a different, uh, I guess, connotation would be what I would want to say. You know, has a different sort of meaning to it when you use it like that. Uh, do not do anything related to that first one. Stay safe, is what I mean. And yeah,